Welcome in, What's Bruins fans. I am your host, Chris Nozick. Unfortunately, not joined by Dom Tiano today. If you caught last Sunday's episode, Dom, all of our best wishes to you. I am actually going to be joined today. We are doing a roundtable during the two games. We got Providence and Boston playing tonight. So I'm going to be joined by Kenny Kaminsky and Dave Collins. Kenny has joined me for a watch along before. Dave, welcome to the roundtable in game for the first time, and we might have a couple other folks jumping in with us as well. So, Kenny, Dave, thanks for joining. You guys excited for these games tonight?
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always fun to have the P Bruins and the NHL Bruins going at the same time. It'll be interesting to see what Fraser Minton gives us with the big club. Luckily, it's one of those situations where we're obviously not in a playoff race, so you can kind of watch this and not be too stressed out about the outcome. With the Providence Bruins, obviously they're having a hell of a season. Looks like they're in for a deep playoff run. I'm sure Kenny will touch on the roster later on, but the postseason should be fun to watch with the Providence Bruins for sure.
Kenny, you looking forward to this game for both teams?
Yeah, well, Boston's finally given us something to watch here. It's going to be exciting to see Fraser Minton. Of course, I'm always excited to be on the live streams here. I know I've been chomping at the bit to get back on, and I'm glad to be joined here by colleague Dave Collins as well. Hopefully, we have a few more people joining in. But yeah, it's going to be a fun night, and hopefully Providence and Boston could. Well, I'm not going to say take the win. Hopefully Boston, puts up a good fight and loses, and hopefully Providence wins. So that's how I'm feeling.
I'm pumped for this Fraser Minton debut. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super looking forward to it. I love the fact that he's with Hustadinov and Lettieri. Lettieri is someone he played with a little bit down in Providence. A great way for him to get his feet wet. And we just got the starting lineups for Providence, and that is going to be Viel next to Lachmelis and Pitlick on the other side with Monsieur and Gallagher on D. And Mayer is making the start in goal. So Brandon Bussey getting the start or the day off. And DiPietro clearly still not healthy. So, Kenny, we've talked about DiPietro not being healthy in the last couple of weeks. And, man, I'm worried about that.
Yeah, obviously it's something that's concerning. You need the goaltending tandem to be, perfect in the playoffs if you want to win in the AHL playoffs the way that it's structured. I'm glad that Providence finally made the playoffs. So now, the next 6-7 games, DiPietro can, just relax, take off, kind of just rework himself into game shape. And I also like that they're giving Brandon Bussey a break. I mean, Utica's not a strong team. I don't even think Bussey made the trip. Per Mark Diver did not make the trip. And I also saw Merkulov's not in the lineup tonight, so that'll be interesting to see as well. I think he took a hit yesterday. From what I saw, he looked fine for the rest of the game, but then again, there's really no point at this point to keep, having players go out there if they're not 100%, really not playing for much. And I know we always talk about, the seeding and stuff like that, and I'm very comfortable with where Providence is at right now. And going to Fraser Minton, yeah, very excited. I mean, this guy is an NHL player. I think that he's going to be in the lineup full-time next year, and I'm excited what he can bring here. He's a player where, the fans that like to see the goal scoring and the assists, they're not going to be too happy. But if you want to see a 200-foot player who's hard-nosed, gets in the battles and is very smart, watch him tonight. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah, David, have you had a chance to watch Providence much this year?
I live in Canada, so we don't get any of the local games that we're able to get. And then I wasn't interested enough at the beginning of the season to commit to a subscription to Flow Hockey. Feel like, Kenny, that's going to change next year if Don's Lachmelis is there full time. That's for sure. But we'll see how that goes. So no, I haven't gotten a chance to watch a whole lot of it, but luckily with Kenny, Mark Allred, a couple other colleagues, I've been able to keep tabs on what's been going on. The Bruins Network and a couple other Dom is another one that throws up a lot of videos. I've been able to see a lot of the highlights. I just haven't been able to see the games in full. Fraser Minton could end up being the gem from this trade deadline, and I think that's really cool. Not too often you see a trade between the Leafs and the Bruins that benefit both sides. So this is one of those trades that may work out to be something like that. It's funny too because if you look at Fraser Minten as a person, he looks like, he's really soft and kind of baby faced, and you expect him to be like more of like a soft skill speed type of guy, but he's always in front of the net, man. Like, he's not afraid to play the hard game, and it just, if you look at him, the face doesn't fit the personality.
No, but someone with a big personality has just jumped in here, and I got to let him do his own intro. Bobby, you got to take it away with your Beaches of Winnipeg intro for the only Bruins from your corner. Can we get an intro from you?
Absolutely, yeah. From the beaches of Winnipeg and under the palm trees of the West End, it's Bobby Brewski.
Welcome aboard, Bobby. I can't do it any better than you.
Thank you so much.
You excited for these games tonight?
I am. It's waking up and sipping on coffee and seeing that Fraser Minten got the emergency call up that's enough to kind of put you a bit of a jolt into you for the game. No matter if you're riding a 10-game losing streak for the Boston Bruins, but I mean, Providence obviously going down the stretch. The playoffs are clinched. They're right around the corner, so it's best of both worlds, as it were. How are you guys doing for the games tonight? How are we feeling?
That's what we were just talking about. I'm pumped for it. I get this weird feeling that of all the games that they're going to win down the stretch, Carolina, like just because it's Freddie Anderson in goal,
yeah,
that I'm like, I can see Pasta getting an assist, like, and they just walk away with this one like 3-1. And Swayman stands on his head, looks good. I mean, he's looked better as of late, so that part wouldn't be surprising. But just it's Freddie Anderson. The ghost of the Boston Bruins lives in his head, so.
It's I do have to chime in on a note of Freddie Anderson. I know I've told the story a few different times, but I have a great Freddie Anderson interaction. So in 2018, when the Bruins defeated the Leafs the second time in the first round, the second time the Bruins also went up 3-1 and the Leafs crawled the way back. I think they won Game 7 like 7-3 or something. Jake DeBrusk got that electric goal. And everything kind of went sideways. A few days after that game, I was walking home from work. I was listening to the Bruins Tampa game on the radio because I couldn't get off freaking time for it. And on the side of Queen Street West in Toronto, having ice cream with his family, Freddie Anderson. We made eye contact as he like mid-licked, and he just looked at the jersey, and you could see him like visibly being like, And it's the only time in my life that I felt bad for being a Bruins fan in Toronto at the time. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to keep walking.
What do you say to him at that point? Like, good game, good series. Like, kind of rubbed it in a little bit there. But, oh, man. It just, has he ever had a good run against Boston?
He said, yeah, no.
So we do have puck drop in Utica for the Providence guys. So I don't know if you caught it right as you were signing in, Bobby, but Dan Zlotch-Mellis starting center tonight for Providence.
See that the lineup, it's crazy.
Have you had a chance to watch much of Providence this year, Bobby?
Not in the last month, which is a shame because that's when they've really taken off, and a lot of. But yeah, because they're probably one of the better, probably the more well-rounded teams in AHL this year. Very competitive. I feel like this year they finally have a lot of those kids have been playing together for the last 2 to 3 seasons, and just from going from the prospect camp from 2 years ago until now, of like Hunter and Patra obviously making headway, Lysell, Cotton, Merkulov. You can see them really developing something there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I know, Kenny, you and I talked about it on a couple of these other Providence games in the past where, it seems like they did take a little bit of a step back after the trade deadline, getting guys in. Now it's Zlotch-Mellis. Before it was Gallagher and then Minton. And, they brought in so many new guys and guys started getting hurt that you could see they clearly took a step back. But now they're really starting to click. And then, of course, now DiPietro's hurt, and we're going to see where this goes. But they're starting to click which is good to see. And I think that future of this team at the NHL level is a lot brighter than people are giving them credit for. I mean, to see guys like Lachmelis come in and contribute right away. Minton got the hat trick his first week on the ice in Providence, or maybe it was the second week, whatever it was. Gallagher stepped in and started putting points up from the blue line. Like, I don't know. I feel like too many people are way down on this prospect pool just because someone ranked them 30th one time or 7 times.
Yeah, I definitely think the future is a little bit brighter than what people are giving them credit for. And I like where Providence is right now, because I know a lot of their players are up in Boston, but that also gives guys like Bancroft, and it gives guys like Schmaltz, and it gives guys like Gallagher an opportunity to show what they have. It's going to be interesting to see how Ryan Mougenel decides to reintegrate those guys from the NHL back into the lineup after not being there for a month and a half. It's going to be interesting to see who they keep in the lineup and who they decide to bounce out. Providence this whole season has kind of just been rotating in and out players, so I wonder if they're going to keep that going in the playoffs. Just a lot of interesting stuff happening. Nolan Meyer starting his first game tonight as well. That's interesting. Jackson Edward sent down to.
I was just going to say, you mentioned all that. I was glad to see Jackson Edward get sent down, because he definitely seemed to be being an odd man out and not getting ice time, and he'll get that done up in Maine, down in Maine,
down, up, whatever way. It's there's no wrong answer, but since Jackson Edward has been down, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, -4, 17 penalty minutes, and a misconduct. So not great, but at least he's playing, because in Providence he hasn't played since March 12th. So it's been a while, and I gotta say, Bobby, that freaking jacket is the nicest thing I've ever seen. Like, I feel honestly underdressed right now. You're making me feel underdressed for sure. That thing is freaking sweet, dude. That is awesome.
Yeah. A lot of time just spinning there with a needle, going in and out, which is probably why I have a lot of patience for these prospects and why I haven't listed us at 30th like many outlets have.
I mean, I'll say this. Someone's got to get the 30th ranking. When there's 32 teams, absolutely, someone's got to be 30, someone's got to be 31 and 32. And I'm sorry, but when you're given the success that the Bruins have had over the last 10 years, I'd be worried if we were not dead last at that point.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, I was talking to a few folks last night who, obviously being from Winnipeg, everyone's got Jets fever. Everyone's like whiteout fever, I guess, or white noise is what they're calling it. So everyone's kind of taking their jabs, like, oh, like this must suck. You're not in the playoffs, you're not making it. And this is the most self-righteous thing anyone could say as a sports fan. I looked at them and I said, you know what? After the last 2 playoff exits and this season, how long it's been, it's kind of nice to just sit back, pay attention to the Providence Bruins, have fun with that, and watch you guys just tear each other apart. And this Jets fan looked at me and he just was like, because you guys are going to be back. And I was like, yeah, you should probably look at what we have cooking in the AHL and, what we have draft wise. Like, this is you got to reset. When you go to the playoffs 9 straight times, win 3 President's trophies, and you go to a cup final, you're going to have a moment where it all just kind of, you tumble onto yourself, as it were.
And let's not forget having the best regular season in the history of the game. And if it weren't for a couple, we'll call them bad coaching decisions, you're probably in another cup final, probably winning the cup. So you are legitimately 3 cups shy of where you should be right now from the last, we'll call it 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You could have, even if you don't count all 3, you should definitely have 19 and you should definitely have had 13.
Yeah.
So we
won't go there.
We won't go there that much. But hey, when you have a lead, you should hold on to it.
Correct.
So that's why. But that's where it's like, okay, you got to give them credit for one or the other. Fine, but man, and that's why I think it's hilarious that especially here in Boston, where you got the sports radio, all the doom and gloom of this team sucks, and it's like, yeah, but they could have tried to add at the deadline.
That was an honest. I don't know where you're at with that, Kenny, but that was an honest fear that we all had going into the deadline. You're like, what if, what
Yes,
if
that
they
was
try to
definitely.
add?
Yeah, well, listen, like I know there's a lot of Don Sweeney hate on Twitter, but let's be honest, like
It's everywhere. It's not just on Twitter.
Oh no, sorry, there's Don Sweeney hate everywhere. But let's be
Mhm.
honest, like that was very good trade deadline. I was very happy with what we got in return. I think it kind of gets overshadowed by that Marchand deal just because everybody, loves Marchand, but look at what we got. And honestly, to Chris's point, like to see what people are writing and saying like the Bruins are last in the league, that's whatever. But other teams don't have what Don Sweeney does, and that's like making those 2nd to 7th round guys into NHL players. So
I also want to add that at the trade deadline, that was the fucking point.
Yeah.
You were 2 points out of a playoff spot at the trade deadline, and he went, I am not going to try to be half pregnant about this. Carlo, you're gone. Coyle, you're gone. Marchand, gone. Brazeau, gone. Freddie, gone. He just ripped everything off, ripped the guts out of it, and said, all right, starting over.
Yeah, I remember, I want to say it was 2 weeks. It was definitely the week before the Frederick deal went through. We were on Only Bruins, and obviously we were just riding the hate train on Don. Like, the reports on Marshy and Pasta, we were just riding that train so hard. And I kind of threw it out into the open. I said, has anybody maybe taken a second to think about what would Don Sweeney do with a team that's not good enough to win the cup, but not bad enough to tank for the number 1 pick?
He tanked
Has
it.
anyone thought about has anyone thought about what he would do in that situation?
He
Because
pulled the cork.
I said, I feel like there are 31 other GMs that are like, please don't do that. Because he's shown he can be, I guess they used to call Doug Wilson and the Sharks, they used to call him the dentist. He is a GM that can get someone in a chair and just kind of get what he wants. Which I think is going back to Kenny's point. I think that's why we were all a little shocked with the Marchand deal. Because it seemed like it was one that he lost in that case, which you don't see that very often with Don Sweeney.
With Don Sweeney, though, that type of move is why players are still going to want to come to Boston, and why he is the head of that GM office for Team Canada for the Four Nations and the Olympics. He is that respected because he takes a move like that and says, given everything you mean to the franchise, we are going to prioritize. We're still going to get something for you, but we're going to prioritize your wants over the best package. Now, you weren't going to get much more than a first-round pick for Brad Marchand anyway by himself. Even if you sent him to Dallas, you weren't going to get much more than what you got anyway. So you still got fair market value for a player who wasn't worth that much. Brought more intangibles than anything. And you sent him to Florida, but it's not like you sent him there for the next 5 years. Sent him there for 5 weeks.
Correct. And another thing too that gets lost, and it's hard to get harped into the emotions. We are a fan of the Boston Bruins at the end of the day, but if you zoom out as a hockey fan, Brad Marchand being on the Florida Panthers is one of the, if not the best moves that could have been done for the show in the past couple of seasons.
And the other thing too is strategically Don Sweeney making a chess move, because now when you look at it, Florida and Tampa, one of those teams is not winning the cup. Plain and simple. They both might not win, but one of them is guaranteed not to win. And have you looked at their situations for next season under the new cap? Especially Tampa's. Tampa's fucked if they don't win this year.
That was another thing that came up last night. I was talking to a friend because I said, there's a very solid chance. I mean, like I said, I'm always gonna be pulling. I'll cheer for the hometown team, but I said to him, I was like, "There's a very solid chance you're gonna get Tampa and Colorado," which is the most funny thing because everyone hated the last Super Bowl because it was a rematch that no one wanted to see. But I said, this is Tampa's last shot for the next few years because it's a mess over there.
Well,
and they don't have picks. They don't have...
Well, that's why I'm gonna Kenny. You'll probably catch your attention on this one. I know you're typing away on some stuff over there between the two games, but sneaky dark horse trade target in the offseason, watch out for Brandon Hagel.
Mm-hmm.
Because after next season, the 25-26 season, he gets full no trade protection. His contract is only $6.5 million, and he's signed through the end of the 2032 season. But he's their only piece of value that doesn't have trade protection. And they only have $9 million to work with, and they have too many guys already locked up.
That's an interesting point. I didn't even think of that. There are a lot of contending teams that would love to have Hagel.
And we know Brisbois is not afraid to pull off a move like that, i.e. Sergachev.
Yeah, as soon as he mentioned that, I just thought of Sergachev going to Utah at the draft, but that's a sneaky.
They certainly don't have any picks.
Yeah,
and they have 30 contracts on the books for next season. 30, and only $9 million to work with, and 16 of them are on the active NHL roster. So they're in a bit of a bind there. So they're gonna have to go super, super cheap, or bring in some guys in an unusual way via trade.
Yeah, talk about win now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and with Pat Maroon retiring, they can't just fill one of those slots with Maroon for $775. So
yeah, bring back Patty Maroon again. But you look at a lot of teams though, like even next year, the Panthers, they have to re-sign Bennett. They're losing Marchand. Samoskevich is going to need a new contract. I know he's only an RFA, but you still got to sign him to a new deal. Ekblad's going to need a new deal. They have to back up Bobrovsky now that Knight is gone.
Yeah, that one's huge.
And Thomas Nosek is going to be an unrestricted free agent. So you got like 5 or 6 key pieces. They have a little more money to work with. They got $19 million in to work with. But how much of that is going to go to Sam Bennett if they really want to keep him around?
Yeah, that's another team that I look at, and especially with that pick not being next year, but it's a 2028 would be the first round pick?
2027.
2027, yeah. And I look at Bobrovsky and obviously them shipping Knight out, and I just go, we were talking about this. I was like, there's a very solid chance if they play the long game and they get the Bobrovsky we're used to in the last couple of seasons. And with how much hockey they're playing, it's like there's a chance that could be a pretty high pick.
Yeah,
but that might be the sell that Donnie makes using it at the draft this year or in the summer. Because that's the thing. If everyone saw the conditions, and I said, Bobrovsky's again, I'm super happy for his success. He's one of the few guys I wanted to win a cup, and I was happy to see. But now that he's done it, I'm like, okay, well,
next,
no more.
Yeah, we all know how the story ends. It's not to be doom and gloom, but you're kind of waiting, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. All right. Kenny, did you have anything to add to that? I'm going to bring David back in as well. He's back from what he was taking care of.
Yeah. So. First, I just want to say, if you see me typing and stuff like that, I was following Bobby on Twitter. I was posting a goal, talking to Dave, so I was doing a little bit of things, of course. But yeah, one of the most interesting conversations that we've had on this live stream has been the conversation about what is it? Oh, dude, that's gonna kill me. What is it? The offer sheets. The offer sheets. I would love to see a team.
RFAs.
Yeah, I would love to see a team go after Samoskevich, put some pressure on Florida. He's such a great player from Connecticut as well. Don't you just love it? I know we were talking about Spencer Knight last night. We were like, oh, please don't let Ovechkin score. Don't let. He's just finally getting back to shape. But yeah, I love it. Put these teams into a little bit of a bind. Let them try to figure it out. Don't make it easy on them. And I think the Bruins, once Tampa and Florida, their Stanley Cup windows shrink. I think Boston's going to be up and ready hopefully by then, and then they can be the front runner. So that's what I hope. But
and it's funny that you mentioned offer sheets. The team that really has to worry about them this offseason is the New York Rangers. They have 4, 5, 7. They have almost 7 restricted free agents, and that doesn't include Nicholas Kubel, who's going to be an unrestricted free agent, or Calvin DeHaan, who's going to be an unrestricted free agent, and they have less than $10 million to work with.
Who are their RFAs?
Adam Edstrom, is it Coyle?
Cooley?
Cooley, Arthur Kaliev, Matt Rempe, Johnny Brodzinski, Juuso Parssinen, Keandre Miller, and Zach Jones.
Yeah. Well, I definitely can see them letting a few of those guys go. I don't. A lot of those guys aren't even really like that great in the AHL, but I know they're going to try to keep Will Cooley. I'm sure they're going to try to keep Matt Rempe for however cheap they can get him. Honestly, I mean, I know a lot of people are into that Rempe mania. So I'm not really fazed by it. I don't really care, but
I learned a lot about book talk because of Rempe Mania.
Oh yeah, the dude can't play. I mean, let's be honest.
No.
Yeah, you can sell jerseys though. So
Yeah, that's all that matters.
But like Miller and Jones on the back end, one of them is gone. Has to be. The one I would keep an eye out on though is Juuso Parssinen.
I don't know too much about that kid.
Did you say they only have 10 million in cap space?
Just shy of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that Shesterkin contract got them screwed for years to come. Especially if they want to go out and try to land a big fish, they're going to have to make so many other moves to fill out a would be interesting to see what teams like that do. I'm shocked, honestly, that the Bruins have 27 million in cap, given that we're paying so many people above 5 million. If you look at the roster, we realistically, given the players that are in the minors and the players that could be returning, in order to fill out a roster for the NHL Bruins, we realistically could go after someone like Mitch Marner and pay him $14 million a year and still have $13 million in cap space to go out and throw around to other people. Like it's kind of wild to think about. Sorry guys, I had to head out. My little one is cutting teeth and she is not happy. So she wakes up every now and then. Daddy is extremely tired these days. Bobby, nice to put a face to the name. Obviously, we follow each other on Twitter, but this is the first time I've seen your name. And also, welcome to a fellow Canadian. I'm in Newfoundland on the East Coast. So,
hell yeah!
I spent some time out in Saskatchewan. I was living in Big River, up in northern Saskatchewan for a while, and I spent 4 months in Fort Mac as well. I stayed in Winnipeg when I drove back across Canada, but outside of that, that's the only time that I spent in Winnipeg.
So I don't know if you guys caught.
I'll talk about my job. Sorry, this is the most I'll talk about my job. But one of my longest clients, I guess I'd call them. They're from Big River. They grew up there.
Okay.
So I've heard a lot of funny stories about that. But yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
I
Chris,
used to be the rec coordinator at the long-term care center there.
Huh. Insane.
I was just gonna say I don't know if you guys caught it, but Swayman just took one off the mask.
I just yeah. If you guys see me go silent, it's usually because I'm just like, what is
trying to catch a replay of something. Yeah, I think we're all in that boat.
Yeah, Lysell took a penalty. Providence is up 1. Joey
that,
Abate scored earlier. Like I said, I was on the phone, trying to post that goal. It was a nice one, 2-on-1. Ty Gallagher got an assist. Brett Harrison got an assist. So looking good so far.
Who scored?
Abate.
Nice. And did somebody say that Bossy is not the backup tonight?
No, he's not. They I think I saw they had a PTO signing of some guy from Union College. I was looking at his elite prospects. I think he only started like 5 college games in his career. So
probably like the Zamboni driver or something.
Yeah. I'm assuming this is going to be like the Pierce Charleston trade where Chris and I were kind of trying to figure out what that was earlier when they were playing Charlotte. I think it's going to be the same thing where he's just going to be released after tonight. But hopefully they let him keep the jersey and he has a good night, opening the door and stuff like that. Gets an AHL contract for a week, so good for him.
Oh yeah, this Joe Sharif kid. Yeah, ATO as well. I didn't even realize that he was the backup tonight, though. But
yeah, I just saw the roster or whatever, and then I saw Providence put out a post, 200 words about the guy or whatever. So that's kind of how I saw it. Not surprised though. We talked about it when Bussy was playing those 2 games in Charlotte. He, the workload that he's having compared to what he had when DiPietro was healthy, incredible. He played all 4 games last week. 4 games in a week is difficult for any player, not to mention a goalie as well. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were watching that game, but they ended up losing in the final 2 minutes. Nikita Alexandrov scored 2 straight, 2 minutes left to beat Providence. But I think that's just a product of Bussy being tired, the team being tired. I mean, 4 games in a week is incredible. 3-3 is tough. 4 games
And
in
I
a
think
week.
all 4 were on the road too.
No,
there
they
was-
had
there-
they came back. They
or
played 2
3
in
of them.
Charlotte, and then they came back to the Amp.
That's what it was. Yeah, the 2. I think the 3 of them were on the road. 3 of the 4 were on the road. Because I know there was a hefty road trip in there on that.
Yeah, we were streaming for that. We were streaming for
Yeah.
both the Charlotte games.
Yeah, and yeah, it just when you throw the travel in the 4 games and even in 1 week, it just
Difficult.
Mhm.
At
As someone
least-
who's sorry, go on, Chris.
no, I was gonna say at least they clinched.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I say, as someone who has traveled by a Greyhound bus before across Canada, I don't envy those guys. To play a hockey game and to get on a bus is sure it's fun the first few times, but if you're on, you have a rough night, like you said, you lose in the final 2 minutes. Getting on that bus can be just draining, I imagine.
Yeah, that's why they call it the jungle. Nothing like the NHL.
Yeah.
You're bussing everywhere. You're bussing to place to place to place. Yeah, difficult, I'm sure. Not easy.
I love it. He's complaining for a call. Was that Kotkaniemi?
I believe
I think so.
No, that's not. He doesn't wear
Is it
77.
Jankowski?
Maybe. I just saw the long name and just kind of was like,
Just figured, yeah.
gotta be him.
Yeah, I think Kotkaniemi
Yeah,
is also
Jankowski.
a 7 in the 7.
Oh, it is Jankowski, yeah.
Too.
Yeah, because he
It's
said
just-
77. I'm usually pretty good, Carolina. I was like, wait, who is that again? I was like, that's right. That would make sense. That's one of the
Ugh.
newer names. He's still going off.
Yeah, right. Why can't we get guys like that? I will say, I know we were talking about the Rangers before. One name that I was going to bring up that I wouldn't be surprised, as even though he's got a no movement clause, I wouldn't be surprised if they look to move on from Artemi Panarin.
Yeah, with where the team is right now, it's just like they aren't really great. They've had a down season. I'm sure next season they're going to try to really gauge where they're at because I mean, one down season, who knows? But they're one of
looks
those
like
teams.
Utica just scored.
Yeah, they did. They're one of those teams where it's like I'm glad to be Boston and not New York because New York is battling for one of those playoff spots and there's a good chance that they don't get one. And then they're stuck in no man's land, and they got to try to figure out where to go from there. And like you said, they don't have much cap room either, so it's going to be difficult.
Them trading Panarin would be very, I don't know if cathartic's the right word, but kind of poetic considering he's the one that sort of, fast forward their rebuild when they initially announced to the fans, hey, we're doing this. So it would be kind of, like a hockey poetry thing. Like, all right, well, we had our fun. We tried it. We went to 2 conference finals and,
Yeah, let the
couldn't
real
get over
rebuild
the hump.
begin.
He began the era, and he's going to end the era. And they
End
can
the
call
era,
that the Artemi Panarin era right there.
Yeah, right. Of course, we know he would end up in Vegas somehow.
Of course.
I honestly, as soon as he mentioned him being dealt, I literally just thought, yeah, like Vegas or Tampa for some reason. Like they always just find ways.
Panera, Eichel, and Stone.
Yeah, when they're
Just
all
a- just
healthy.
a sigh, Bobby.
The 5 games that they'll all play together. Yeah,
Right.
it'd be unreal.
But the size says it all.
Yeah, it's I went thrifting before I went to this flea market today, and I was just kind of quickly shuffling through the t-shirts and found a Vegas t-shirt, and just I rolled my eyes and just kept going. I was like, no, I'm good. Happy for you, Butch. You got your cup. I'm glad. I'm good.
Much deserved cup for Butch.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned Tampa. Trade him for Hagel.
It would be something dumb like that. It's just, I don't know. Trying to explain the NHL to folks who don't watch it, the few times a year I get to do it, I'm like, it's like the Patriots. Like some teams are like the Patriots during that run where they would make things happen. I was like, that's how like Vegas is. That's how Tampa is. They just get players you didn't think were possible.
And then some of them are like the Patriots now, and you have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, you're like, well, they were good. They're
you look at them and you're like, well, it it can make sense from an angle.
Yeah.
I
That
wanted
is
to
one
ask
part
with-
with the Bruins.
Oh, no, you're
Sorry,
good.
go on, Kenny. Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. I wanted to say something, but something else. But you can finish what you're saying.
Oh, I just reiterating, like that's the thing with the Bruins. Obviously, the last few weeks, a lot of fans have been having their fun, which rightfully so. When you go on the downslide, you kind of have to take the punches, and it's part of the game. But I just keep telling people, I'm like, we're in a better spot than Detroit was when they last made it to the playoffs.
Oh
We're in
my
a way
God.
better spot. I'm okay.
I wanted to ask. I know this is a big week with the college signings. Is there anybody that kind of shocked you that kind of signed and you were like, wow, didn't really expect that?
I'm more surprised that Boyo went back to Maine.
Yeah,
There was a lot of
Mhm.
interest in him.
No, I'm not too tuned in on the college hockey. So that'd be more of a, I would message Brett on our pod and be like, give me the rundown on this.
Although I know there was a lot of people surprised that Callum Tongue signed with the Rangers.
yeah. Well, I know colleague Neil Simmons was not too happy with that. Tongue freshman just played lights out in the NCAA tournament. Great get for the Rangers, honestly. Now they can finally let go of Louis Domingue, and they can let Dylan Garand step into that third role if they need him to. Someone who surprised me was Connolly, Trevor Connolly out of Providence. I thought that surprised me a little bit that he ended up going to Vegas. Apparently, they thought that it would just be better for him to go out.
If I'm Connolly, though, I look at Vegas and I go, why not join now? Like, but if I'm looking at my Providence team from this year, like, it was good, but like, I'm losing confidence in Svedback by the day.
Yeah,
and if I can join the Vegas system, even if I spend the rest of this year in Henderson, like, you're talking about a team that's going to have an opening for you. You're on the NHL roster in a year there. If not, you're moved to somewhere else with a better opportunity. So,
yeah, unfortunately, a hideous game by Svedback in the first against Denver. Just an awful first goal, and I feel so bad because it's just like that's such a weird first goal to give up, and I know that kind of set it up for the rest of the game. But yeah, I mean, and especially playing in the Hockey East, you never know what's going to happen. Any team could beat any team at any night, so you don't really. Like you said, if you have the opportunity, I guess why not? But it shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, and we had talked about that too. Basically, they would go as far as Svedback would allow them to. So, oh man, I hate the Nesson feed. It just crapped out on me. I have to reboot it.
Yeah, it's it's been pretty brutal tonight.
Do you have Nesson 360? Is that what it is?
I do, yeah.
I have it on cable. It's been awful for everybody. I bring it up every time. I'm like, this is just awful.
And Kenny, I know you invited this next person to come on in. I know David is having some internet issues, so we'll work on getting him back. But we'll bring Joseph McAuliffe on. Joseph, how you doing today? Do you prefer Joe?
Hey guys, Joey. Call me Joey. I should have put that in the chat. How you guys doing today, man?
How you doing, Joey?
Doing all right.
I'm in a great mood.
Doubleheader.
I just got back from the women's NIT. If you guys know about that, my university was playing in the championship game, and they actually pulled off the W.
So, nice.
Oh yeah.
Always good to get
they set an attendance record. It was awesome. I mean, I'm jumping in super blind here. So what's going on? We talking Bridgeport? We talking Providence? We talking? I'd rather talk anything.
We're talking everything right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about Bridgeport, like I could sum it up. I could sum it up real easy.
I hate to bring you down. I hate to bring you down from that mood, but what's the Bridgeport score right now? I'm genuinely asking. I know they're playing Charlotte.
4-1, 5-1, I think. Joey Larson got his first in the AHL today, so congrats to him. I know Tristan Lennox. I've heard it Lennox. I've heard it both ways. It's 5-1 Charlotte right now. So with that loss, Bridgeport had to win out in order to avoid setting the record for the worst home record in the history of the American Hockey League. By falling to the Checkers today, they guarantee themselves the worst home record in the history of the American Hockey League, which goes back
there's
to
an accomplishment there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the type of accomplishment we're trying to build, especially, in a Lou Lamoriello organization where, everything has to be in tip-top shape. Your AHL affiliate could lose as much as you want, but you better not have a number over 50. I'll tell you right now, you better be clean shaven. All right, so
I was about to say, you
I-
mentioned the Bridgeport thing. I'm like, you got a little. Are you able to do that as a fan? Are you?
yeah, no. As soon as I try to go into I still call it Webster Bank, Total Mortgage. As soon as you walk into Total Mortgage Arena, they see me with the beard, and the security guy cracks his knuckles at me.
Hey, listen, don't worry. As long as you pay $20 for parking, dude, who gives a shit, really?
If y'all follow me on Twitter, which do or don't, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. I complain more about the parking in Bridgeport than I think I complain about any singular thing.
I mean, if it's that bad
Uh,
and you're complaining about that over the game, then that's probably pretty bad there. So I will say this: I just caught Jared's comment. I don't know when he threw it in here, but he said Ehlers, Mesa, Pasternak is gonna hit like crack from line for the Bruins. So
I'll say
I'm here
this.
for it.
I love how every single fan base in the National Hockey League has convinced themselves they're getting Ehlers. Like
Yeah.
Islander fans are doing the exact same thing. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get Ehlers this summer. We're gonna get Marner, and then we're gonna be set."
I
Where
for the last 7 years, Joey, I have made fake Elliot Freeman, fake Chris Johnson tweets and sent them to Jets fans being like Ehlers for like for Jake DeBrusk. Ehlers not like where it's like real enough where they're like, what? Or like Ehlers for Stanika and like a third. I'm like, what are you talking about? I went on his thing. I was like, why did he delete it? Why did he delete? And then just like walk away or stop responding. Yeah.
Man.
My pull for Ehlers to the Bruins, because I stopped this guy when he was a rookie. I used to work at a shoe store called Journeys up here in Canada. And he came in and tried to buy a $40 pair of dress shoes. And I walked up to him and I said, listen, I'm just going to be this as nice as possible. I know who you are. You're a stud. And if you walk into that locker room with these shoes, you're never going to play in the show. And they're never going to let it down. And he's like, well, I don't know where to go. I was like, and I took him to one of the douchebag like suit stores. I was like, go talk to this guy. He'll set you up. He'll tell you everything you need to know.
spend some real money.
Yeah, and then the next time I saw Ehlers at the mall, he pulled me aside. He's like, I just want to thank you. He's like, you saved my life.
I don't know. I don't know if you listen to like Jordan Schmaltz. Jake Schmaltz's brother. He has his own podcast and stuff like that. He was talking about how it was like the second day that he was in St. Louis, and he was wearing his hat off to the side like this, like Fernando Rodney. And he said Doug Armstrong walked up to him. He just tapped him on the shoulder. He goes, "If I ever see that shit again, you're getting sent down to the AHL." So that's kind of like what I think of. I like that story is just so funny because if you know him, like the guy's just unbelievable. But I see who's that? Geeky just scored, of course.
Geeky, yep.
Good.
At Pink Pony Club. Is that his 28th goal of the season? I want to say.
Yep.
28. Yeah, he's getting there.
28th. Yep. Ty Anderson just sent it out.
How many games are left in the Bruins season?
7 after this one?
6.
6? Is it 6 or 7?
All right, we got to get 2 more goals for Geeky. I'd like to see him put up a 30.
As I say, it's still too many games left, but
well, I mean, there's still a chance. They win out, everyone else loses out.
Anderson has to have that one.
Yeah.
Yep. This is the game that we win, and it pushes us back to 6th, and then we end up moving back to 10th for the pick. This is the game right here.
And
This
then
is
the
where
lottery puts us at 3rd.
Yeah.
Jared's got it. 5 games after today. And then he says,
Okay.
if the lottery is rigged, the Bruins will get the number 1 pick. The NHL absolutely doesn't want a franchise like Boston not in the playoffs. So first overall doesn't seem out of the question.
I do have to say, with Fraser Minten making his Boston Bruins debut tonight, you have to think the Maple Leaf fans are just churning. Like they're enjoying, like they're in the playoffs, they're gonna go for it, yada yada.
I think they're terrified that
Curse
this is their next
breakers.
Tuukka Rask deal.
Yeah, well, there's that because when I was coming on, Kenny and David were talking about Fraser Minten potentially being this deal. I can't pinpoint it, but I just tell my Leaf friends like something about this kid I just like. And I think it just resorts back to like the Leafs traded him. Like I think that's it. That might be it. That's all the spice you need.
Wow.
But if you're a Leafs fan, you're watching us go down and down, and you're
There
like,
we go.
Yeah, Lindholm.
Yeah,
with
I
the
was gonna
second
say,
one.
had you guys seen it yet?
yeah, I'm about to.
Well, I got 2 games streaming and this, so my bandwidth is a little stretched right now. I'll be okay with a couple seconds delay, but of all the ones that I mean, I'm not that worried about it. We got 5 games left in a season that's going fucking nowhere, so I'm not going to lose sleep because I'm 3 seconds behind when reacting to a goal.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell
so
you what
far
about Minton. I post all the goals or whatever, and when Fraser Minton scored that hat trick goal was by far my most viewed, my most liked, whatever, because it was Bruins fans reposting saying, "I cannot believe we got this kid," and it was Toronto fans saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe we gave this kid up," and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Just
The
sick to
amount
their
of Steve
stomach.
Dangle clips I saw of them, just him screaming into the abyss. Like,
It seems to be very back and forth. Like, there were a lot of rumors that it was either going to be Minton or Cowan.
Yep.
And there were a lot of people that I saw on the other side that were like, oh, thank God it's Minton and not Cowan. But given what I saw in the World Juniors, I'm pretty happy that it wasn't Cowan.
Well,
Maybe I'm just
hampered him
off.
pretty hard.
Maybe I'm just put off by like a small sample size, but my goodness.
Well, keep in mind, Matthew Poitras and Fraser Minton were teammates for World Juniors a couple years ago. So
Right. Yeah.
they were line mates even. So I'd very much be okay with the 2 of them being on a line going forward with what they're capable of and how hard they both work too.
Yeah, each fan base, there's always a few different folks who I really trust to gauge on what's going on.
Mhm.
And when the Carlo deal happened, I sent a message to a friend of mine who's been a Leafs fan since the dawn of time.
Oh, so Steve.
Yeah. No, he's the Winnipeg version of Steve, but I messaged him and I said, you're going to love Carlo. I really hope he's the missing piece to whatever you guys are trying to do. And he just sends back a message going, Fraser fucking Minton, period. And being like, I can't. He's like, he's like, you're going to love him. And he's like, congratulations on the cup in 2029. Fuck you.
Great
And
way
that's
to
what
end
I was
that conversation.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, okay. Sucks to lose Carlo, but if you're losing sleep over getting one of the best defensemen, okay, cool. I'm good. I'm good for this. One thing, just because David mentioned it earlier, and I saw that you had the Eagles poster in the back. That's the only okay. So I need Mitch Marner to come to the Bruins. I am
It's the
a
other guy.
diehard. Yeah, David's gonna love this. I am a diehard New York Giants fan. Okay. Year in, year out, I watch that team. I fall for that stuff. I'm not complaining. We have 2 rings. I will take it. Seeing Saquon go to the Eagles, everything that's happened to the Bruins this year, I was like, I need the hockey gods, the sports gods, to let me know how that feels.
I mean, it's pretty awesome, but on the other side of that, I'm also a Raptors fan and a Raptors fan and a Jays fan. So I'm half and half, like I have right now, obviously the Eagles are doing fucking fantastic. So that's awesome. The Bruins, man, I keep telling everyone's like, oh, being a Bruins fan must be tough. It's like, dude, we have the longest playoff streak. The last time I was excited about a draft lottery was like 2015. And I was like, I'm okay with what's going on right now. But this, I don't know if you guys can see it. So right? So it's an eagle. But what it is, it's the play-by-play commentary written out by hand of the Eagles Super Bowl when they beat the Patriots.
No
and
shit.
That is
there's
phenomenal.
a little so like it's black all around the edges, and then inside it's green. But down right here, so it's all black. You guys can't see it, but it's all black right here. But then there's one line of green outside, and it's the Philly. It's the play call for when Nick Foles caught a touchdown. So it's really cool that they specifically put that in there. But my fiance gave it to me for my birthday a couple of years ago, and it's literally the best gift I've ever gotten in my life.
That is the sickest gift. That is one of those, like, someone comes over, you bring it down, you start looking at it. Oh,
Conversation
phenomenal
starter
game.
for sure.
Yeah, and like she got it on Etsy of all places.
Back when Etsy was good, right? Like back when
Yeah.
Why doesn't that surprise me though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I was pretty pumped, but yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone could have imagined that it would have gone the way that it went last season. Even when we were in the Super Bowl and it was like, oh, it's the Chiefs, we're gonna lose, and we stomped them, and it was just like, man, it's hard to believe that this is my future for the next couple of years. Obviously, assuming everyone stays healthy, but hopefully, if the Bruins can sign one or two, big name players, the defense comes back healthy. Razor said on an episode of Morning Brew that or maybe it was Evan Marinofsky on Bruins Beat. No, it was Evan Marinofsky. He mentioned that he expects Swayman to have a much better year next year. He's got his first year down of being like the man. He is not going to have any of this contract stuff hanging over his head. He'll be able to have a full training camp with his teammates. He was like, nothing against Boston University, but he's going to play against NHL players in the preseason and stuff. So a lot of people are saying, oh, rebuild. Man, honestly, if they can add one or two and come back and just be healthy for a season, they could easily be back into contention next year.
Yeah. And
I agree.
one of the things that it's hard to like really think about it. It's not something that you really even, think about if you're, just looking at the NHL, but I like to watch Kazimir Kaskasuo videos on YouTube. Yes, and you can see throughout the season, like when he's not signed, that it kind of just dwindles down. Like, when you start training camp and you're not with the team, you have a ton of AHL, NHL shooters. And then as guys get signed, you start, when you're Kaskasuo and you're halfway through the year looking for a contract, you're basically just buying out ice just to like skate. There's nobody else even available anymore.
Mhm.
So,
And you're not getting the NHL paycheck to pay for it either.
no, you're not. So you got to figure out a way to do it. And yeah, I love talking about Kaskasuo whenever we can because I was featured. B&G's podcast was featured on one of those videos, which was awesome.
Hell yeah.
It's unbelievable. And we are very thankful for that. But yeah, sick. I love it when guys are able to show that side of them. NHL seems a lot more buttoned up than other leagues. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know you referenced it, David. I heard the same comment, and that's something that I know Dom and I have been mentioning most of the season, pretty much ever since the trade deadline, where it's, it just hasn't been the season that anybody on the team has looked for. I mean, you want to talk about bounce back candidates for next season. Jeremy Swayman might be at the top of the list, but Zadorov did not start out strong. He'll have an entire season under his belt. He'll know what worked and what didn't. And Elias Lindholm, same thing. Now, I don't think there's a zero possibility that you move on from Lindholm in the offseason. There's ways to do it. There's going to be a lot of teams out there that are going to look at Lindholm, and he's still in that phase of, oh, well, we can fix him. There's going to be at least three other – you're not going to get, a bank return for him. Yeah, you'll probably trade him at a loss, but if you can clear the contract off your books and allow, the roster space for Poitras, Minton, Lachmelis in a year and a half, or Schmaltz in a year and a half, like if it allows you some of that flexibility, I'm not sure Don Sweeney says no.
The only thing with the Lindholm thing, if you're going to move on from him, and because he's on, is it 7.5 he's making?
7.25, I believe.
So that's a lot of money, right? So if a team is going to take that on, so if a team is going to be taking that on, are they going to be expecting the Bruins to retain some salary? If the Bruins are retaining salary for the next 4 years, honestly, I'd rather just keep him for another year to see if he has something rather than just, having that dead cap sitting on your roster the entire time.
Well, it depends on the team that's trading for him, and it would be for the next 6 years. Now, depending on the team, it's 775. You can retain 2.75 for 6 years, and that's nothing for you. And now you've made him a perfect $5 million 3C for a reasonably decent contending team like a Winnipeg or hell, even a 3C for Vegas or, someone like that. And again, you're not dealing him to win the trade. You're dealing him to gain roster flexibility and save as much cap space as you can on that contract.
The
Joey's
other thing you
looking at
mentioned
his
about
contract, sure. Sorry, go on, Dave.
What's that, Bobby?
I say, okay, I can see Joey just probably like Googling his contract and being like, "Oh, Lou's gonna give him something dumb for listening."
Well, what I was looking at is I was curious, right? Because you guys did the same thing we did 3 years ago, and it didn't work out for us. Where it's like, hey, we've got some guys that do some good things sometimes. Let's sign them to 7x7s with full no move clauses. So you've got Lindholm's I just wanted to pull it up and take a look at it. It's somewhat front loaded. I mean, he's going to make. This says he's going to have 6 at his base for 2 years, then 5.5, then 4.75. But he's a full no move clause until the 29-30 season. And then it drops to a modified no move clause. So he's in complete control of, like, if you guys could have a trade totally set up and then he just vetoes it and you have to start the
He's
whole
in
process
control,
over
but
again.
from some folks I've talked to, I wouldn't really put too much emphasis in the no movement clause
Yeah,
based
I think
on this year.
You think
yeah, I
it's a
think
Truba situation?
he's trying to win.
No, I think it's more or less the situation isn't the perfect fit that I thought it would be. So I'm willing to waive if it means trying something different. And I know, Kenny, you and I have talked about it. A team that I would look at is Columbus, because he knows Sean Monahan over there. They have tons of cap space, so you wouldn't have to retain for them. And they have a bunch of young players that you can just ask for 1 or 2 for 2 or 3 and maybe a draft pick, and it helps them clear out their prospect pool a little bit, because not everybody's going to be able to play for them. So it helps you replenish with, if you get, let's say, a B-level prospect, a C-level prospect, and a 4th-round draft pick or a 3rd-round draft pick, but you get rid of that entire contract and he gets to go play with Sean Monahan and adds a little leadership to that locker room, which, let's face it, just lost some coming into this season. That there's a little bit of a win for everybody there.
Yeah,
And the Zadorov thing you mentioned, Chris, I looked up back a couple of podcasts ago. We looked at Zadorov and Lindholm specifically, and Zdeno Chara's worst year as a Bruin was his first year.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that Zadorov is Zdeno Chara, but if you take into account their size, the way they play, things like that, it's very possible that Zadorov's worst year as a Bruin is going to be this year. Also, given the fact that he's put in a position right now where he doesn't have Lindholm, he doesn't have McAvoy. He's kind of playing out of position in terms of what's expected of him. So again, if they come back healthy, and given the way if history repeats itself, it's very possible that he's going to be noticeably better next year.
Oh,
so if you take a Chara jersey and you turn it in the right light, it does kind of look like Zadorov. So you might be onto something. I'm just kidding.
Z for Zadorov. Z for Zdeno. There's something there that's the same. I don't know.
We're getting close.
But I think we can all also admit that Nikita Zadorov is swimming in waters he's not supposed to be swimming in right now. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Mason Lohr. Now, both of them are going to be better off because of it. But if you take Nikita Zadorov, 25-minute defenseman this year, and knock him down to 18-minute defenseman next year, there has to be some level of improvement just on the fact that he's not on the ice to make as many mistakes. Mathematically, there has to be some improvement.
Yeah,
especially if you match them. Go ahead, Bobby.
Sorry, David. I was just saying, rewatching the Montreal game the other night, watching Lohrei and him, they're another set of guys where I'm like, they need the offseason more than any of us. They're in too deep, unfortunately.
I think Zadorov is really benefiting and is going to benefit next year from this Yoki Haru guy. They're like a match made in heaven.
He's good.
And they both have spoken very highly of each other in terms of like the way that they play with each other too. So again, if you this is obviously assuming they re-sign the guy, but if you re-sign Yoki Haru, you go into an offseason and let them kind of figure it out. That could be a really nice second. And depending on where you think Lindholm and Lohrei are going to play, it's possible that Zadorov and Yoki Haru ends up being your third pair if you do plan to keep them together. And then you have Lindholm and Peak probably as your second, and then McAvoy and Lori. I know that's a lot of offense on your top line, but I think it could work.
I think my
Lindholm's
concern
enough.
with
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, thank you. I think my concern with Zadorov would be, and it's a little bit morbid, right? But it's always been my experience. Zadorov, I mean, he's a big guy, right? He's huge, and he likes to play a very physical style of game, at least from what I remember, right? And those types of guys, I mean, I'm watching it happen with Scott Mayfield right now on Long Island. Like some of those types of players, right? These big physical defensemen. I don't know where the wall is. Some guys it's 27, some guys it's 33, but when they hit it, it's not a steady decline. It's not a oh well this year he's a top 4 guy and now he's a top 6 guy. He's top 4 and then 20 games later he's not playable anymore. So
Yeah.
I mean Zadorov, he'll be 30 by the time next season starts. He doesn't, to my knowledge, have a crazy injury history. Like, I'm just perusing his hockey reference page. He's got a pretty good track record, but I'm sure a lot of these guys have good track records. It's just a matter of does the shoe
Well, yeah.
drop? And I understand that's a morbid conversation, but like it's something that you have to think about.
Yeah, they have a good track
Hopefully,
record until they don't.
well, exactly. It's like these guys, like they could be the most durable guys. I mean, I'm watching it right now with Mayfield, with Pulock, with Pellick. They could be the most durable guys in the world, and then all of a sudden, one day they get hit the wrong way, something tweaks, and it never properly fixes. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money to be sitting on the long-term injured reserve. You guys may have the same colors as them, or somewhat the same colors as them, but you're not Vegas. You can't. I mean, Zadorov, he's going to be a big player for you guys. Like, you can't afford to have him sitting on the shelf.
No, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Hampus is someone else that they look at potentially moving off of in the offseason. Not even so much because of the injury, but just because you've got another long-term contract there. You've got other young defensemen coming up through the system that you can fill in that spot, and you can get something for Hampus.
It's very true. Hampus was the one when they did sign him, and I looked at the length, but we didn't have the prospects in Providence or in our pool at all when we signed Hampus. But I always, as soon as that contract happens, what I'm trying to get at when I mumble through this, I never envisioned him ending that contract as a Bruin. I just didn't see it.
I've heard a few people make that same sentiment, and I mean, when you see what he does in the playoffs last year and stuff like that, you're like, man, I wish this guy stays with us forever. But
yeah,
I mean, that contract is so dealable. He's your next Brandon Carlo in that regard. The contract is so good, and what he gives you for the dollar amount, especially as the cap goes up, teams are going to want him.
Yeah.
You just got to hope that he comes out and his knee is well enough to keep playing. Now, that said, I really think there's a bigger chance of that happening if they end up signing someone like Jonathan Muhlenberg. But I know he just went back overseas and isn't with Providence anymore. So, that could be a go get things ready. We'll bring in for next year kind of a thing. Or it could be have a good luck in the SHL going forward. And hopefully we see you again one day in the NHL with someone else.
Yeah, well, he was with the team for the picture, where I think number 33, everybody was like, who the hell is this guy? And he was in the picture. I think moving Hampus would be smart. Just looking at Providence right now, I think there's a few defensemen in a couple years that can come up and play some big minutes. Ty Gallagher has impressed me so much in his time so far. I mean, like you would have no idea that kid's coming from college. He fits in really well. And although he makes mistakes here and there, they're not really like Mason Lohrei mistakes where it's like, oh my God, I cannot believe this just happened. But
Kenny,
and Freddie Bernay as well.
Honestly, Ty Gallagher for me is a dark horse to make the team out of camp next year.
He's been good, and he like I said, he recorded another assist today. So
the kid has been through hell and back in the last 3 seasons. He's gone through it and he's plowed through it and done super well. And like you said, he's come in and just Providence has fit him like a glove. And I know he's only on an ATO right now, an AHL contract for next season, but you get him into training camp next season, that kid's going to fight for a roster spot. I really think if he's not on it next year, he's going to only be in Providence for a season, possibly even half. So
you said he's on an ATO for the end of the season, and he signed to a standard player contract for start of next year in the AHL?
it's an AHL contract. Yeah. Bobby, did you have anything to add to
okay.
that? I know you have to get going shortly.
No. I'm excited to watch Ty Gallagher. I will throw one more thing. I do need Jackson Edwards. We're gonna try to re-up the bet here. Boosty on Only Bruins wasn't a Jackson Edwards guy for some reason, and we had the deal where if he played for the Bruins at one point this season, he had to buy his jersey. So next year we're probably gonna re-up that deal. Because for a minute there was a window of time where it seemed like it might happen, but
yeah. Well, it's not looking great right
I don't
now.
know if we jinxed him.
He's in Maine, but
he's in Maine. Yeah, I know. He saw that. He's the one that broke the news to Brett and me.
Dom is watching, and he did just stop in to let us know that Don Sweeney is in Brantford scouting Jake O'Brien.
Oh.
So definitely someone I'm sure we'll all pull up here in just a second. But I know, Bobby, you have to head out shortly. I do
appreciate it. It was great meeting you guys. Good putting faces to the names. And Chris, per usual, awesome. Thank you so much
for coming on, and we'll definitely get you back on another one of these very soon.
Oh yeah, we'll get it for a full game this time. All right,
Absolutely.
Kenny, keep up. Awesome meeting you, David. The best.
Yeah.
Go Giants.
You as well.
Take care, Bobby.
Take care.
Take care.
And we got Joe back.
I think based on where the Bruins are right now, I think Jake O'Brien would be a little bit far down, but obviously you don't know how the ping pong balls are going to fall. So,
I mean, that also
he's
could
projected to go 11th.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to put. I mean, obviously, Dom said. I have no doubt that what Dom is saying is true. I'm not putting too much stock in. Oh my God, they're here to look at this one player. Like, does that mean they're going to take Jake O'Brien 4th overall if they have that pick? Probably not. What I look at it to mean is they've got 2 first-rounders, so they're looking at not just the first pick that they have, but what can they do with the second? What can they do to package guys together and maybe make 2 picks in the top 15?
Oh. Sorry about that.
Great save.
Yeah, huge save. What's it like to get saves?
We'll let you know when we
couldn't
get
tell
one.
you.
Yeah. I remember last year in the playoffs, first round against Toronto, I was watching those games. I was like, they may never score again. Like, I forget what was going on in Game 7, but like Swayman, I felt like was playing out of his mind, and I was just like, oh my God, like the poor Maple Leafs right now. How do they always run into the better goalie every time without fail?
Chris, did you say the Bruins have 2 first-round picks in 2025?
I'm going to pull it up right now because I'm pretty sure
they got 1.
They got
2 next year.
Rounders. They have 2 second rounders.
Yeah.
So okay, I mean they could have 2 first rounders. You could very easily package those 2 seconds and get back into the first round. Again, we know everything's on the table, so
I would love to see. I don't know if you guys watch the USHL. I haven't been, but once we got Zellers, I started watching. Big Green Bay Gamblers fan now, huge. And there is a guy that plays with Zellers. It's so weird because like these are the people that like I was playing against. Not exactly the same people, but like I'm like reading the rosters. I'm like, oh, dude, I played against this guy. It's like the weirdest thing ever. But former Shattuck St. Mary's player as well, Aiden Park. He's projected to go around that 150 mark. He is very good and plays really well alongside Will Zellers. Shout out Drop the Mitts. What an interview. Absolutely.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah. Davis does a great job with those.
Oh my God. It was amazing. Loved hearing that. But would love to see them take a run at him. He's going to go to Michigan next year. Utica just scored again, unfortunately, but
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Providence drops this game just without having Bussy or DiPietro in net. I don't have much confidence in the team.
Or Merkulov either on the ice, I don't think.
Anyway, you were saying
Yeah, Aiden Park. Look out for him. He would be a huge get, I think, but we'll have to see.
Sounds like him and Zellers really came up together because they both went to Shattuck St. Mary's, right?
Yes, they both played on a line
Yeah.
at Shattuck St. Mary's, and then they both are playing on a line in Green Bay. They scored a goal. Aiden Park scored a goal assisted by Zellers last night, which is fun. Man, like I wish I was watching the USHL more this season because I know that Dubuque has 3 Bruins on the roster as well.
Yeah, those guys have been doing all right. It'll be interesting. Dom, if you're in the comments still and you have any update on Cole Spicer, let us know. It'll be interested to see where he ends up. I also wouldn't be surprised if to see them make a move off of another. I mean, they like getting guys that play together too. So like someone else from Moncton might be an option as well. I know everybody's focusing on
Caleb
Denoye,
Denoye. Yeah.
but you know, with those 2 second-round picks, you could very easily be looking at one of their other. They got a couple other centers up there that are producing, a couple other wingers. You know, it just, you know, I'm going to talk to someone that Dom and I have talked to before about a couple of those guys. He knows Moncton very, very well, and obviously with Loke Johansson on that team, they're going to have people watching the Wildcats frequently. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to pull someone else off that roster.
Yeah, and he is signed, I believe. Loke is signed.
Yes.
To Boston.
Yeah,
Let's
which
get a
was
power play here.
an interesting
Sorry.
move. No, it's Aho
Yeah.
going to the box.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes well worth it for Aho. Comes across the top of the stick. You know what? Maybe not. I don't know. Is that who's calling this game?
that
Is
was
that Wes
weak.
McCauley? Is that Wes?
I don't know. That was weak though.
Yeah, they've had a couple weak calls in the last couple games here. So
Yeah. Well, listen, Bruins have gotten hosed for the past 10 games. So listen, if we get one.
When you suck as much as they do, you're gonna get.
I know you're not making it easy on yourself, but
yeah, you're not gonna get the benefit of the doubt in any calls when you're this bad.
Well, not like it matters when you're losing 6-2 to the Ducks, anyways. So
yeah, right. When you I would say take more than 5 shots in a period, then we can talk about something else.
Oh, that was a Bruins Twitter meltdown that day. Oh man, when you guys had the 5 shots in the period thing. Like I'm not even on Bruins Twitter, but like every Bruins fan was in my algorithm on Twitter for about an hour and a half, just like screaming. Like, how do you only have? Oh, geez, who broke that up?
I'm surprised you've only seen it once.
Terry?
The Bruins haven't been able to muster 20 shots in like more than half the games that they've lost so far here in the last 10 games.
I would say half of my algorithm approximately is like Lou Lamoriello slander. And then the other half is like Bill's paranoia. So, sometimes something else sneaks through. And that day something snuck through.
I mean, it has to be really big apparently. And at that day though, that was brutal.
I remember you and I, Kenny, we were having a conversation about Letary in the show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, obviously he's a guy that gives me problems in Bridgeport. But would you rather have him up? Like, is there no other direction they could be going right now? Because like, you guys are out of it. It feels weird for me too saying that the Boston Bruins are out of it. But like, why not get some young guys up and get some players that might be contributing next year into the top 9 and moving, especially power play minutes. And is Letary that guy? Like,
trust me, you don't even know what you're stepping into with that. I've seen people lose friends over that argument. I have to. You can ask Dave right here. Just like
I know what you're talking about, Kenny. I'm staying out of this.
Yeah. It's been people. At the end of the day, it's so funny with Bruins Twitter because like always, the team's winning. I feel like everybody's happy, but when the team's not playing well, everybody hates each other, and But is either way, I thought I could see both sides of the argument. Like, keep the players down, keep them in a winning environment, prepare them for these AHL playoffs. But me personally, I would like to see some players get some NHL minutes, get some experience. And my thought personally is, listen, if playing 5 or 6 games on a losing team is going to stunt your development, then you probably weren't that good of a player to begin with.
So let me counter that, Kenny, real quick. All
Yeah.
right, we are seeing that. Who's in this game tonight? Fraser Minton.
Yeah,
Who got
myself.
called up before? Jeffrey Viel. Who else have we seen? We've seen Merkulov. We've seen, we saw Poitras earlier in the season. Like Poitras, we know what he's going to be. We know what his potential is. So why do we have to keep calling him up, sending him down, calling him up, sending him down, when right now what's best for Matthew Poitras and his development is staying in Providence, playing top line minutes, playing penalty kill, playing power play time. I mean, they're able to move him around on that power play anywhere they want to right now and try things. Hell, just a couple weeks ago, he was playing the keeper for the first time in his entire career. So you're not getting that opportunity with him if he's in the National Hockey League. You're burying him on the third line. What's the benefit of having him up? Merkulov's been called up a couple of times. He hasn't shown enough to stay. So if you're able to get him back on the roster next year, you give him a clean slate and say you can earn your spot on the roster going into next season, finish strong this year, continue the development because he knows what he's got to work on. He knows what he's got to work on. And right now you're getting that in Fabian Lysell and you're getting that in Fraser Minton. They're going up, they're learning what they need to finish and polish off in their game, and then they're going to be able to go to Providence and actually do the polishing.
Yeah, well, Matt Poitras is one of the exceptions to what I am saying because Poitras had his cup of joe in the NHL. We all know he's going to be an NHLer. We know what we're going to get out of him. And I think it's more beneficial for him to play in his first professional playoffs. And like what you said, it's important for him to get those top line minutes with very good players in the AHL. So it's not like him playing on the third line with two guys who really probably shouldn't be in the NHL. Yeah, like I said, Poitras probably an exception. Who knows how long Minton's going to be up? I like that they're giving Lysell a chance. People are having mixed opinions on that as well. Merkulov, same thing. We talked about it. I'm not convinced that he could play in the NHL. I'm also not convinced that he can't play in the NHL. I just want to be sure. And I think this is the time where you can be sure with him. If you play out these, next 5-6 games and he really does show you nothing, whatever. Keep him in the minors. I just want to see them get a chance. Honestly, I don't consider Jeffrey Viel being called up
There it is.
I don't really consider that being as Pasta scores here. I don't consider that being a prospect call up. I hope Jeffrey Viel though gets to play next year.
I think Viel has a real shot to beat out John Beecher going into next season, or at least be on the fourth line with him.
Yeah, I think that Viel would step up nicely and be a cheaper contract than Cole Koepke. So, and Viel's definitely earned it. He's a guy in the AHL that I have no doubt has earned his place in the NHL. He does everything well. And, he kind of shocks people because, you see him get into these gnarly fights, and then you also see him dangling a goalie and, hard on the forecheck and everything else. So, Jeffrey Viel would love to see him in the NHL next year.
Just to add on to that really quick, you guys, as Bruins fans, right, particularly this season, you've been gifted with the luxury of having a competent AHL program where guys can go down. It really does function like a developmental league where like you just said, we figured out what we got to work on. Now let's go down there and work on it. Right. And you can actually have faith that those things are going to happen when that particular player goes down. And you can trust the process to the point where if that player doesn't work out, well, you know what, we tried. And that's all we could do. Take it from somebody who doesn't have that right now. That is a very nice thing to have, that you can actually trust the system and what's being pumped in and what's coming out the other side. Because Bridgeport right now, I'm looking at the looks on some of these guys' faces, their body language. Losing sucks, right?
Yeah, other than tonight, we know.
Yeah, right. So. Like y'all are finding that out right now, 10 in a row, right? Losing stinks, and losing a lot stinks, and it's taken a toll on these players in Bridgeport. I mean, Matt Maggio had a I don't know the number off the top of my head, but 110 plus point season with the Windsor Spitfires, and he winds up in Bridge Purgatory. Like, he just looks defeated. So you know what? I think you got an argument with some merit to it. Where get the kids up in the NHL, get them looking around, get them figured out, and then if they got to go back down and work on some stuff, work on some stuff.
Yeah, and I think. Oh, go ahead, Kenny. Sorry.
So, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'll tell you what. You go to Bridgeport, it's depressing. I've talked to former players who hate it. They don't stay in Bridgeport. They stay like 2 towns over in a motel. It's just a
Tony
mess,
Schmaltz.
and it's been a mess since I've been born. It's been a mess before I've been born. Like, you go to the arena, dress like a seat night every night. Nobody's there. Nobody cares. I've talked to season ticket holders who are just done, fed up, unbelievable at this point.
But yet they still hold season tickets. Why?
They're not
renewing them
next year. They're not renewing.
I've had many conversations with fans.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, you look up, there's 3 banners.
As someone who's been in a ticketing office before and worked and been a season ticket member rep and all that stuff, people say all the time, because of this, I'm canceling my tickets. I'm canceling my ticket. Until they actually do, it means nothing. And most of the time, they don't follow through.
We'll see.
The other side of it too is like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can say you're going to cancel your tickets and stuff. There's someone waiting in line. Like, these things are years long waiting list for this type of stuff. So if you want to cancel them, that's fine.
AHL, though.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised. I highly doubt their season ticket holders are sold out.
No, once you get to like the AHL level, and certain other league, like minor league baseball and stuff like that, they are straight up calling fans who have been to games and trying to actually. There aren't waiting lists the way that you would like. Boston has a wait list for all of their teams because they're constantly in the competition. LA, but when you also look at them, it's because they have the most people in those cities as well. So like.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact Bridgeport does not have a waiting list because they have called me plenty of times begging me to buy some season tickets. But I also live 2 minutes from Quinnipiac, where season ticket. It's like I've had I've been fortunate enough to have season tickets, and people.
And you get better hockey
begging.
there.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, QP. It's almost like a real product. You go to the arena and you think maybe we'll win today.
Yeah, maybe. But
you go to a Bridgeport game, you're not thinking to yourself, "Oh, we got a good chance today." You're never thinking that. You go into a Bridgeport arena, you say, "We did." It's just a matter of how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen.
Are you sure it's not, what am I doing here?
Well, yeah, I've asked myself that question enough times. I'm not even from the greater Connecticut area. I live in Long Island and Long Beach, so I drive an hour and a half to come up to a Bridgeport game, and it's 4-0 10 minutes into the first period.
You regret it as
I
soon as you
want
park.
to ask you, like, how does it feel? This was like my whole childhood going to Bridgeport games, and it sucks that the team is just never good. How does it feel? You look up into the rafters, and there's 3 banners. None are from championships. None are for conference finals. I think they're 2 from winning the Atlantic Division in 25 years. Just unbelievable.
They're gonna get a 4th one. We play here.
Yeah.
We are a
contract
team
with Total Mortgage Arena. That's what
I don't know. Calling them a team might even sound like it's a stretch.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'll tell you this.
We sports here.
Yeah, on occasion. Sometimes they don't even bother. But like when it's kind of like the Bad News Bears in this. That was a great shot block. In the sense that everything that could be going wrong with Bridgeport is going wrong. The head coach is unqualified, frankly. The general manager makes me want to say things that I don't want to put into the public quite.
Yes.
But if you DM me, I will happily tell you.
Well,
all right.
I know.
Kenny, you know what? How about this? Speak on my behalf, okay? Tell him how I feel. All right. You know how I feel.
All right. if I had to say something, Joey was very excited to go to Toronto to watch the team. He was hoping that he would see Chris Lamoriello there. Just saying, just putting that out there. He was really excited.
Yeah, and I just wanted to
Lamoriello.
say, hey man, I hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
The general manager is unqualified for his position. Let's put it that way. The city, I mean, it's a fine city. I haven't spent a ton of time outside of the arena, but everything that I just said, well, yeah, I don't want to say that because, but like I've heard from players, all right, it's not exactly a place you go to on vacation.
No, you do not go to Bridgeport on vacation. I'll tell you that.
I've never heard anybody say I'm going to Bridgeport on vacation. I'll tell you that,
No.
except me.
Well, it sounds like it'll be easy to get to some games next year to cover them a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be easy.
But when you walk into the building, all of that becomes immediately apparent. I wrote a piece early in the season talking about how, because when you have a minor league team, right, you need to endear unless you're an A product, right? Unless you're like an original six like you guys are, right? Like the New York Islanders are the awkward sideshow of New York sports. What the hell made them think they were going to come in to Bridgeport and put the Islanders name on it and that was going to mean anything? All right, you're the Islanders. You're like the sixth most popular team in this region behind the Bruins, honestly, let's be real, the Rangers, the Wolfpack, right? Like your name doesn't carry weight. They stripped the organization of its identity with the Sound Tigers. They've got a bland, boring, dull social media team, a lazy attempt at in-game entertainment, and a lousy on-ice product. And I would say that all of that stuff becomes immediately apparent as soon as you walk into the building.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we thought we had it bad in Boston right now.
No.
Kenny asked me to talk about this a little bit. I'm currently working on like a proper piece about it, but it's gotten bad enough that our ECHL affiliate hates us. The Worcester Railers want us on a pike. Like it is specifically Chris Lamoriello.
I'm
GM
right
of
near the
Bridgeport
Worcester
Islanders.
Railers too. So, and I know the president. I went to college with their president.
I can't speak for the organization, all right? I don't have a death wish. I'm not going to knock on their door and be like, "Do you hate your affiliate?" But I've talked to the fans, and the fans hate us. Not the fans don't hate the fans. They hate management.
My understanding too is
organization.
Worcester themselves hasn't been all that fantastic either.
Really?
That's what from what I've seen. I mean, as far as on ice product, like they've.
You mean like on ice? Well, I'll put it to you this way: it's pathetic, but they're the only ones that have a realistic shot to make the playoffs in their league in the Islanders organization. You guys have the P Bruins, right? You guys are doing fine. I don't know how Maine's doing. Yeah,
Not
sure.
well.
The Boston Bruins
Not well.
Not well.
No, second
right,
last.
All right, well, not well, but at least you're going to have Providence, right? And they're going to comfortably make the playoffs. The Islanders are the Islanders. Bridgeport, do you want me to talk for an hour and a half about how bad Bridgeport is? How much time do you guys have tonight? But, like, the Railers, when today began, they were in the playoffs by 1 point. And they with a game extra played and 3 games to go or 4 games to go in the ECHL season. So clinging on for dear life to a playoff spot. And they had some guys that were in, that started the year in Worcester that respectfully, I think are primarily ECHL guys. Right. And, they got called up to Bridgeport. We had a lot of injuries this year and that certainly hasn't helped. But as we've gotten healthier, those guys have not gone back down. Chris Lamoriello has refused to send those players back to Worcester, where they were decent in the AHL, but they're really good in the ECHL. And wouldn't it be nice to have a point-a-game player? Swayman just robbed Taylor Hall.
Holy.
Jeez Louise. But, like, wouldn't it be nice to have a point-a-game player for your playoff push instead of having him sit in the press box in Bridgeport?
Yeah.
I get the frustration.
Yeah, I know that Maine fans feel the same. I was listening to former BNG colleague Ben Kennedy. He runs his own podcast about Maine. I like listening in just because I want to know what's going down in Maine. You obviously don't have a lot of people talking about Maine. I think they're kind of fed up with the same thing, and I know I talked to you about it. I mean, it's really not the organization's job to kind of like pump, talent into the ECHL. I'll tell you, I said it earlier, the AHL is the jungle. The ECHL is not a place that you want to be. That is basically a career death sentence if you're looking at the NHL. I just think that, them being in the AHL is a privilege, and I'm sure they enjoy it, and it helps them for next year being on the roster now. They also get paid the AHL salary, so they're minimum making $80K a year. I just, I can understand the fans being upset, but it's just difficult to be that upset. Obviously, I'm not really big in the ECHL, so of course I'm not going to be mad. But
So I will say too, one of the things that if you really look at like how it's supposed to work, look at what the Blues have set up between St. Louis at the top, Springfield in the AHL, and Florida down in the bottom. Like those three organizations work together the way that they're supposed to. Now, obviously, like you said, when you start getting into career ECHL players, you're not looking at guys who are going to constantly work their way up and become NHL all-stars. But, if you can play in the ECHL, you'll get opportunities in the AHL and so on and so forth. It's a path to become a higher end pro because you're within an organization's system. Jackson Edward, we were talking about him earlier. Getting him into Maine, getting him minutes, he needs to play right now. Having him benched in Providence doesn't do his development any good. And 4 years from now, for the Boston Bruins, he could be a third pairing defenseman if he plays. If he stops dead in the water in Providence and just burns out his ELC and does fucking nothing, he's going to become a nothing asset for you. At least if you send him down to Maine, let him get minutes, then he can work his way back up as he continues to develop. And that's something that you're really starting to see some teams really set up. I mean, in the American Hockey League, we watched the Rochester Americans blow how many guys out and never see them. And now look what it's done for Buffalo.
I think the guy who got sent down to Maine, Kenny, he went a while without playing there too, right? Like before he got sent down?
March 12th was the last time he played.
Yeah, so he went basically 3 weeks without playing before even getting sent down. So I guess at some point they had that aha moment, like you were saying, Chris, and just get him down there and let him play. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to the ECHL since Newfoundland lost the Growlers. But is Maine in a playoff spot right now? What's their season looking like?
No, they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't know if they're mathematically out of it, but I know that they're second to last right now. So Jackson Edward will most likely be called up, and I understand the ECHL portion for that. And when you go to the ECHL, I see a lot of difficulty because there's just so many players on loan as well. Like you see it with Providence this season, where instead of pulling from Maine, they just sign guys to ATOs or PTOs. Look at Chris Ortiz. I mean, Tyler Pitlick as well. There's just so many good players that are kind of like unsigned that it's difficult to call players up. And then, of course, Providence uses Maine, when they need a guy like Edwards to go down and play. And that's how it should be. I'm just saying, like, if you go down, if you're an ECHL player and you're not like a top prospect and you weren't drafted like Jackson Edward, it's difficult. And, the players call it ECHL, easy to come, hard to leave. So that's all I was saying. But,
yeah, well, I mean, another player, specifically with the Bruins, that I'd like to see take that path, Cole Spicer. I mean, why put himself in the position where he has to worry about the stresses of going back to college? If you can give him a legitimate path to make the NHL through your farm system, you should do it.
Yeah.
Is he the kid that stepped away for a while?
Yeah, he went to UMD, and then he left. Well, that's
right. And then he went to Dubuque, and then his season with Dubuque is now over. But he's ineligible for juniors now. He can't go back to Dubuque.
Yeah, well, I think that's perfect for a guy like Cole Spicer. I mean, right? Like, you don't have to worry about school. And also the East Coast Hockey League, like, it's easier to score down there. It's a highly offensive league. It's a great place for a guy like him to start, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. And we see it a lot with goaltenders too. Like we saw Sebastian Costa his first year he was with Toledo. It's just getting those young players to play. That's great. I just don't know about, like guys who aren't legitimate prospects getting that call up and sent down, because I mean, if Providence needs a veteran, I mean, they're not pulling from Maine. They're just, seeing who can loan. They had Tristan Ashbrook play a little bit, and then after that, Chris Ortiz, guys like that. So
yeah, it's not the thing for everybody, but they've got to be able to utilize it. So, Dave, did you have anything to add? I know you said that you were probably going to have to head out closer to the end of the second period. You said like an hour and a half is what you had, and obviously, I know you got the kid in the background there too. So.
Yeah, the thing about being a dad is it don't matter how late you want to stay up there, still going to get up in the morning, right? So, yeah, I'm going to take off here. Before I do, I just wanted to.
Mine's 15.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I've been there.
15, nice. I got 3-1, so mine are hitting that peak, getting up in the middle of the night nonsense. So, try to get my beauty sleep while I can. One thing I'm going to keep an eye on next year, obviously, Kenny, you and I spoke about it already, but watch what Will Zellers can do. When he moves up to the collegiate level compared to what he did in like prep school and then in the USHL. I'm really interested to see what he can do once he gets to college. I really do hope that he just continues to be this offensive phenom, but obviously he's going to be playing against better competition as well, probably bigger bodies too. He's not an overly big guy, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to that. You guys have mentioned Loke Johansson. He signed a 3-year deal back in November. He's making about $865 a year for the next 3 years, free agent after his 3rd year. You guys also mentioned John Beecher. There was something about John Beecher. Jeffrey VL. Is Beecher an RFA or a UFA?
RFA at the end of this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't see
RFA
anyone
with arbitration.
Yeah, I don't see anyone signing him to any sort of offer sheet if the Bruins retain his rights. I would see them bringing him back on that normal, 1.5, 2 million, whatever, with the new contracts.
At best, it'd be his qualifying offer, and his qualifying offer is less than he's making now. So I'd give him the qualifying offer, but if he doesn't want to sign it, I'm not losing sleep over it.
I'm just wondering if they're going to go up because of the money that's being thrown in and the salary cap going up. I'm just wondering if he get more than what his qualifying offer is. I hope you're right, and I do agree.
He's at 925K this year. His qualifying offer is roughly 875. I'd give him the 875 and just move on.
Give him the 875. Let him sit on the 4th line. Let him do his thing down there, and he's a fine. It's obviously you don't want a 1st-round pick to be a 4th line player, but it seems like he's kind of maxed out what he's going to be. So anyway, of those points, fellas, have a good one. Chris, thanks for having me on. Kenny, I'm sure I'll see you later. Joseph,
thanks for coming on. And
take care, man.
Good luck with
the man.
Kiddos.
Great to meet you.
yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I do think that a lot of fans get zoned in on is this player was drafted at this point, or and fans view the lines as 1st line, 2nd line, 3rd line, 4th line, and yet it's such an antiquated way of thinking. The teams don't think that way anymore, and you can't just look at John Beecher, for instance, and be like, we've got to give him another year because we spent a 1st-round pick on him. The pick has already been spent. Don't worry about what he was. You have to worry about what he is, and can that roster spot go to someone more useful going forward?
Yeah, well, that's why I agree giving him another year, because I really like Jake Schmaltz. I think he's a much more well-rounded player than Beecher, and I said this before, but I mean, the knock on Jake Schmaltz's game is that he's not a great scorer, but neither is Beecher. So
no, but Schmaltz at least can put a puck on net.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a brutal year for Beecher scoring wise. I mean, how many times does he miss just wide open shots? It's been tough. So I mean, I'm sure they're going to re-sign him, but there's definitely players coming for that spot. So he definitely needs to pick up his game if he wants to be in the NHL long term. Because I would be shocked if another team took a chance on him after what he's done this season.
I just need Logan Stankoven to get a point tonight. And then I did a 4-pick parlay on the game tonight. I just need 1 point for Stankoven, and then that's it.
How do you guys feel about Wallstrom?
Wallstrom, hell of a shot. I wish they utilized that more.
Have you guys picked up what our nickname was for him?
What?
Wall slob?
No, I mean,
I feel like his time in Providence is going to benefit the hell out of him.
He can't skate. I mean, listen, I am hell had no fury like a lover scorned, okay? I wanted Trotz fired. That's not true. I wanted Trotz to rethink the way he was coaching because he wasn't giving Wallstrom enough playing time. And then they replaced Trotz with somebody who was going to give Wallstrom enough playing time and made me look very stupid for opining about Wallstrom's playing time.
So you say Wallstrom can't skate. I raise you Justin Brezzo and Christian Konstantinsky.
I mean, do either of those guys have the injury thing though? Because Wallstrom was never a good skater, all right, but he was a passable skater for a while.
Yeah, you haven't seen Christian Konstantinsky skate at all, have you? He's one of the prospects. No, he's one of the prospects that plays for Dubuque. He was a 7th round draft pick. This dude is a fucking tank, but he can only skate forward.
But like Wally, I mean, listen, maybe something's changed, but that was half the problem with Wally. When he first got up, right, he was a tank like that. That dude did not care about his body in any way, shape, or form. He was gonna throw his weight around. And that at minimum made him fun to watch. But then he blew his knee out in 22-23, and at least with the Islanders, he never came back to that physicality that you needed from him. And it was what made him. I mean, I had a post about it at a point. He was not just the worst forward on the Islanders. He was one of the worst forwards in the National Hockey League. And then he gets sent to you guys, and it's bad, or it ended bad when a New York team is like, oh well, good luck. That's how you know that normally, when you leave a New York team, you're gonna get a middle finger and some booze on the way out. But we were hoping that he figured it out. And it didn't work out in the NHL, but now he's killing it in the AHL. I don't know what his stats are, Kenny. You probably have that.
I don't know him off the top of my head, but I know that he is playing first-line minutes. I know that he's on the power play, and I think Providence does a nice job setting him up on the power play. Same with Fraser Minton, where Fraser Minton in that game against Springfield, I mean, did it 3 times, just scoring right in front of the net, finding that soft spot in coverage, and like I said, he's just a really smart player. So you can't get caught puck watching when you have Fraser Minton, by your side. But yeah, well, Oliver Wallstrom, his shot is so good. He just kind of just wills it into the net every time.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's kind of what's traumatizing Islander fans right now about Cole Yzerman. And it's worth noting that Yzerman is a very different type of player, very different type of prospect. First of all, he's actually having success in college, unlike Wallstrom. Wallstrom wasn't as good as Yzerman has already accomplished more in his collegiate career than Oliver Wallstrom ever did. But it's that same exact type of player archetype where it's I think of the Jesse Puljujarvi broken English interview that he did when he first got to the Oilers. He was like, "I only shoot and score." Cole Yzerman, Oliver Wallstrom, they both have one thing, and it's a booming wrist shot. And they don't care how many attempts it's going to take to get it through the lane. They're going to jam it through the lane if they have to. But, I mean, for Wallstrom, at least with the Islanders, it never worked that way. He couldn't will it into the lanes. At the start, he could, and that's what made him super fun to watch. He'd just shoot it from any angle, which was a perfect foil for Barzal, who would shoot it from no angle, even if he was wide open in front of the net. He'd still look to pass it, but it just didn't work.
I was just gonna say, if someone's biggest knock is they can't skate, I'm willing to see, because the organization has had a history of helping guys develop their skating. So, we've already seen massive improvements in Christian Konstantinsky. Again, he's still with Dubuque. He's a long ways away. But that was also a knock on Justin Brezzo. That's why he was brought in as cheap as he was. And he never got great at it, but he also wasn't putting in the effort or the work to try to do so. On the other hand, Christian has been. So there's a dynamic there where, again, with Wahlstrom, if he's able and willing and puts in that effort and the work, then he can improve enough. The question is, can he improve enough to be a regular in the NHL lineup, especially if he has an NHL caliber shot? It's similar questions that we have. Kenny, I know we've talked about Brett Harrison before, and Dom and I have talked about him ad nauseum. The guy's got an NHL caliber shot. If that's all it took, he'd be in the NHL 3 years ago. Problem is he's not physical enough. And you can't teach that part of the game. Like, he knows how to do it. You've seen bits and pieces of it, but he doesn't do it consistently enough.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
With Brett Harrison, it's the hockey IQ thing. Like, you need to be able to recognize it, and it has to be like a conscious effort. And I know when playing hockey, like, sometimes, you're just going off of instinct and not just, sometimes, especially like I would compare it to like going on a breakaway. Most people don't think about what they're going to do. They just pull out a move and do it, something that they've done consistently. And just Brett Harrison needs to be on the ice in a game thinking about, okay, I need to make this play. He needs to be able to recognize what he needs to do, and I'm just not seeing it. To Joey's point, it's so hard for me to talk about any Islanders prospect because Bridgeport is just so bad. Like, I watched Oliver Wahlstrom in Bridgeport. I used to go to those games, when he was a Sound Tiger. It's always been a mess. I mean, now it's like worse in the AHL, but it's always not been that great. And one of your posts, it was you or somebody else, they posted Chris Lamoriello's track record in the AHL.
Yeah, I retweeted that. He has never won a thing.
No.
Not a thing.
What was it? 3 years with Kowalski in what was it? It was the Devils farm team, and they didn't make a single playoff year. And then he was like, "Yeah, let's go back to Rick Kowalski, the guy that didn't make the playoffs once."
Yeah, they can't teach a dog to sit down. That's the only way I could think to say. I mean, like, what's this? I've heard guys swear. Like, the swearing policy is I could swear. Like, Kowalski and Lamoriello, Kowalski and Lamoriello don't know their ass for a fucking hole in the ground. All right, the two are like the two of the most incompetent men in hockey. And like, yeah, you look at Lamoriello and you say, oh, he may not be winning now, and then you look at his track record and you realize Chris Lamoriello has never won anywhere. He's never like, all right, now you're approaching the things that I try not to say out loud, but screw it. Like, he's never earned a thing in his life. And that's what happens when you have a guy who has never been held accountable, never been fired from a job, never been allowed to fail as the GM of your hockey team, because now listen, everybody makes mistakes. Some people have to make mistakes. You have to fail in this life in order to get back up, and the next time you get a chance at success, you learn the lessons from the failure. But because his dad was the GM, Chris Lamoriello was never allowed to fail. He was never allowed to stumble. And now you got a guy who has no idea what he's doing because he's never learned properly, managing your GM team, playing inept ambassador. Like, it's... I got to watch that team. I got to watch that team for 5 more games.
I mean, it's tough when you're dealing with what people think is greatness just based off of something that someone else has already done. So, but
I make this joke all the time. Sorry to interrupt, Chris. I make this joke all the time. Chris Lamoriello is so bad at his job that it actually had me questioning how good Lou Lamoriello was at his job. It was just one night, right? But it had me questioning. I was like, yeah, but Lou Lamoriello always had Marty Brodeur. He never had to worry about the most important position on the ice. And then the next morning I woke up and said, you're an idiot. He's the guy who went out and got Patrick Elias and Zach Parise, right? Like, but for one night, he was so bad that he made me question everything I know about his father.
Yeah, you could go.
Well, I mean, it's also one of those things where there's some hockey legends that I even sit there and I go, how much of it was skill and how much of it was luck? Like you mentioned Lou Lamoriello getting Patrick Elias, but that was a 51st overall draft pick in a 26 team league. Like, does he go 32 overall now? Like, does someone look at a Patrick Elias and go, we think there's something more to him? Does he make it to the second round? I mean, every draft is going to have players that fall. Every draft is going to have players that you get lucky on, but just at a certain point, you're more likely to get lucky when you have a 7-round draft in 26 teams versus 32 teams and 7 rounds. I mean, think about it. Henrik Lundqvist was a 7th-round draft pick.
Yeah, Pavel Datsyuk was a 7th round. One of him and Zetterberg went 6th, and the other one went in the 7th round. But
Yeah.
I think both very, very late draft picks, beyond the point of like, oh, they just fell a little bit. Like they saw something nobody else did in those guys.
Right. Like everybody overlooked them. Brandon Hagel went in 6th round.
Yeah. But like, I mean, that is exactly the point I'm trying to make. Like Lou Lamoriello, at a time, we're talking about like peak Lamoriello. We're talking about like mid '90s Lamoriello, right? Like he cared about the AHL team. Oh goodness gracious, it's the Albany River Rats.
I
That's the
remember
team,
them.
right? It's the Albany River Rats. And back when Lou Lamoriello first got the Devils gig, he made sure that the AHL team was taken care of, and they won championships. And then his son got the AGM job, and his son has seen a minor league affiliate move, I think it's 3 or 4 times under his watch. It is just, how much is this guy dragging him down?
Let's see. Was he the GM when they moved from when they became the Lowell Devils?
Yep, yeah, that was him. He was in the middle of that.
I remember the
He's
Lowell
there
Devils.
He was there from 2000, I'm going to call it 2004 to 2015.
Yeah, I remember going to Lowell Devils games. Shit, I remember the Worcester Ice Cats before they moved out.
Woo Cats.
Oh man.
And I've been having a lot of conversations with Worcester fans recently, so I've been rapidly educated on Worcester ice hockey history.
Yeah, I got to get out to more of those games. I just this year I've been dealing with some health stuff, and I haven't been able to get out to anything more than I've been able to. So,
Gotcha. Well, don't go to Bridgeport. If you get the chance to go out, don't go to Bridgeport.
No, I'd
Unless
still go
Providence
to
is
Bridgeport.
playing. Unless Providence.
Yeah, unless they're playing the
definitely
pre.
go out to Bridgeport.
Yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of other teams to watch that can go to Bridgeport. So,
I think it tells you something really bad when I went to a Toronto Marlies game to watch the Bridgeport Islanders, and my friends tell me that the look on my face wasn't excitement when we won, it was shock.
I mean, that's another team though. You can watch the Marlies if they go to Bridgeport. Like that makes it worth going.
Yeah. Is that the way you want to run your op? I'm not accusing you of saying that's the way you want to run your op. I'm just asking the hypothetical question. Do you want to play John Fisher Simulator where we're going to pitch the idea to Sacramento of, oh, you get to watch other teams come into this building and play?
I guess it depends on your purpose for going, right?
Yeah, it's just you want people to come to the games to see you.
I mean, I'd be going to watch players. I don't watch those games the same way that other people do. So I blame Dom in a good way for that one.
Yeah, well, I mean,
of course.
I grew up going to those games. So every time I go to a Bridgeport game, I'm gonna want to see Bridgeport win. Same with Providence now. I want to go. I want to see Providence win. But I would understand, like, if I went to a Hartford game and they were playing like Wilkes-Barre Scranton, I could not care less who won or lost that game, as long as it's like 3-2 overtime. Rucker McGroarty plays well. Maybe Matt Rempe gets in a fight or something like that. That's where I see it. But
But see, I don't even look at it that way. I look at it and I go, how was Rucker McGroarty skating? How did he look? Was he taking good shots? Like, that's how I'd be going to look at the game. You know, how does edge work? Like, what is he, what's that hockey IQ look like in in-game situations? Like, that type of thing. Like, that's how you look at a guy like Brett Harrison and go, oh, he just skated by and kind of half-assed threw his stick in there instead of throwing a hit and taking the player off the board, throwing the player into the boards and taking the puck and getting a play out of it. He just went by and whiffed and kind of went, meh. Like, you can see that in training camp too, but you see it a lot better in game action.
Yeah. And you also write about everything. So I could see how that works out for like going to watch certain players.
When you do it that way. Again, I blame Dom, but in all the good ways. So
yeah.
I think that, these minor leagues too, right? There's such a heavy emphasis on the family aspect of it. Like I can only speak from experience. I've never been to TD, frankly, TD Garden. But I know what life was like at Nassau Coliseum, at the old Nassau Coliseum, the really bad Islanders. And that arena was not kid friendly.
No, some of them really aren't.
That place was built for the college kids that were coming across the street from Hofstra University to come watch some really bad hockey. But all these minor leagues, it's built upon the family atmosphere, the family environment. So I guess you could say it's twofold. You've got guys like Chris, where it's, you're looking at individual players, how are they skating, how's their shot, how's their decision making. But then there's also like, oh, we have a petting zoo in the main concourse this weekend, and your kids could come and pet the animals during the intermissions.
Yeah, I did an interview with the president of the Chicago Wolves, and they do a adopt a pet night every year. So the stadium is just filled with dogs and everything. So like, it's a great way of connect. Like you said, it's a family environment versus other areas that are most certainly not. And like, it's just they have a blast with it. It was great to have that chat with her.
When did you interview?
Last summer.
Wow, that is like the perfect time to.
Yeah, it was right when they were getting back into the season. Right, they just restarted their affiliation. So, yeah,
Terry was in the middle of that.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun to have her on, and I'm sure hopefully I can have her on again soon. So,
yeah, that's interesting, and I'm pretty sure Rocco Grimaldi as well was on that team.
Yeah,
very interesting bunch.
Yeah, it was a good chat, and obviously, she does a lot more with off the ice, being the president, but like, yeah, you look at that. I want to say, let's see, it was last year. So let me see who else was on the roster. I think they had Kincaid on that roster as well.
As in Keith Kincaid?
Yeah.
Long Island's finest.
Yeah, let's see.
I remember his one Bruins game up in Buffalo with his mustard yellow pads.
They had Auntie Ronta that year. Yeah, he did.
Auntie Ronta was on the team.
He was on that team.
But Auntie Ronta played playoff games. How did that work?
Maxime Comtois.
Really?
Oh my!
Oh, and now is
what?
It
no. Pasta. Did he get this out of the air, or did this go off of his shoulder?
No, that's got to be stick.
Wait, did he just get another one?
Yeah, he got another one. It was like the weirdest little.
Oh, there it is. All right. Yep.
Geeky, the wicked saw. That's through. Oh my god, that's over Slavin, man.
Oh,
that's just not. I mean, I've got to watch Slayton. I have Jacob Slavin shows up in my nightmares sometimes, and you got it through that guy.
I really need the Stankoven point, like bad. because the 4-pick parlay that I put in was Bruins money line, Geeky for a point plus, and Pasta for 2 points or more, and then Stankoven for 1 or more.
Yeah,
And
and of
it
course,
was-
this is the game that they get shut out, right?
And it was plus 1,900 on that parlay.
Yeah, we'll be. I guess we're kind of like backwards cheering for the Canes now a little bit.
I just need 1 point from them.
How's
No,
Middlestat
it's not
looking?
backwards. I've been definitely cheering for the Canes. I mean, I'd rather us just lose out the season, get a higher pick at this point. It doesn't really matter. Streaks,
Yeah.
whatever. Doesn't like, whatever.
I mean,
you go on 20-game losing streak, whatever.
I wanna
It was
see him
right
get-
there.
What's that?
It literally
Ooh.
it was Stankoven out front to Roslovic, and he just
right off the spoke B.
Stankoven's buzzing around.
Oh, I just saw it. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it might
Stankoven is a
happen.
perfect Kane. Well, that's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like, what was I even? Oh, they're.
I'm sorry, I completely derailed that. My bad.
No, it's fine. I want them to get 2 more wins this season. 1 to break the streak, just to make them feel better about the whole ending to the season. And then I want them to get 1 more win upon McAvoy returning, because you've got to get a little bit more. Like, if you go out on a just over at this point, no one comes into camp feeling good next year. It's going to linger way too much. You can't have that kind of off season. But if you've got, what do we say, 5 more after this?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 more.
So you win tonight, and then in the next 5 games, you get 1 more win. McAvoy returns to the lineup, gives you a little bit of boost, and you get that victory. Done. That's it. Everybody feels good because it's like, oh, well, with McAvoy in the lineup, we're fine.
Whoa. Was that Zadorov with that turnover? That can't happen.
Did his stick break again?
No, it didn't break either. I'm telling you,
Comets
that
are up
was
now 3-1.
Seth Jarvis again. Jesus, this guy can't catch a break on Seth Jarvis. Jeez.
You guys were talking about the Tuukka Rask trade before, and about how like the next version of the Tuukka Rask trade. In my head, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Toronto makes trades like that like twice a year." Seth Jarvis is another example of one where the Lou Lamoriello of all people signed Patrick Marleau to that stupid contract, and then they traded the Canes a first round pick for an easing of their finances, and that first round pick turned into Seth Jarvis. Just no big deal. Just top 6 forward. I'm trying to think of the guy's name from the 90s. McDonald, I think is the last name.
I think Utica just scored, unfortunately,
it's
but it's
3-1.
all right. It's all right. Wish your Islanders could have helped us out a little bit, maybe in the standings for the AHL, but Providence is going to lose. What was it? Charlotte. They had a great game last night against Charlotte. Providence did. So, whatever. Scratch
Sports
it.
like that guy that you hire to mow your lawn, and instead of mowing your lawn, he takes crap on your lawn.
Yeah, well, yeah. Probably shouldn't be expecting much from the.
Oh, no, now it's going to be
Yeah.
4-1 Utica. Okay. Well, I mean, as soon as we saw that it wasn't a Bussy or DiPietro game, we kind of, at least I kind of looked at this and I went, well, that's not going to be good.
I was expecting them to start Meyer at some point because, I mean, Bussy can't play 8 straight starts. Come on now, give him a break, especially in a 4-game week and then a 3-3.
That and going right before the playoffs. Like, you have to prioritize getting him rest for the playoffs as much as going into the playoffs. So, like, you're in the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter that much at this point. You're just trying to get healthy, get your forwards clicking, get your D clicking. And if you win them, great. If you lose them, it fine. But, like, just be ready for the playoffs is where it comes down to. So, Joe, did you save to head out shortly?
Yeah. But thank you very much for having me on, guys. I always love talking about hockey.
Absolutely. I know we'll be doing a lot of these, especially as the AHL playoffs come around. Hopefully it's not too painful for you to jump on a few more of them as
please.
As Bridgeport won't be in them, but you know.
I won't have FOMO, believe me.
We got plenty of interesting games coming up. Hell, I might even jump on Sunday with Ovi going for the record.
On Long Island. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
I'll take some Russia v. Russia on that one.
Yeah, he's never scored on Sorokin. Islander fans should keep talking about that because they're going to speak it into existence.
No better
he's
time
never
now
scored.
than now.
Exactly. It reminds me of remember Mutombo was like talking about Michael Jordan's never dunked on me. Next time he saw Michael Jordan, what happened?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just like let's talk louder about it because that's going to make it better. All right, but thank you guys, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We'll
Have a
talk
good
soon. Take care. I really want that Stankoven point now. I should not have pushed my luck on that. I really shouldn't have.
I think pushing your luck was Bruins money line.
No, this one just with Freddie Anderson in net. I waited until I knew that it was going to be an Anderson night versus Kochetkov. Just because if it was Kochetkov, I would not necessarily have put that one in. I still probably would have gone with the Geeky and the pasta points, but with Freddie Anderson in there, I was like, nah. There's a good chance that I almost put Pasta down for 2 goals versus 2 points, but I was like, with my luck, I'll put 2 goals and he'll get 3 assists.
Yeah. 4 goals on 18 shots. That is not great.
Oof.
Especially against the Bruins.
Well, I was gonna say it's about to be 5-1 in Providence.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is it? So it's not. It's even worse here in Utica. So.
Oh, man, I'm about ready to turn that one off just to focus on the big club, which is not the decision I thought I was going to make tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I wish these scores were reversed.
I mean, again, you're not bad enough to lose. What would that have been? 20 in a row, almost 18.
Yeah. So this is bound to happen at some point.
Yeah. And actually, let me check. Let me just check the scoreboard here because Sabres and Lightning are tied at 2. Let's go Buffalo.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Let's see. Who else we got to worry about? Actually, I don't think that's really. I think that's really it for tonight. Oh, I was watching some of that Kings Oils game, and the Kings won that one 3-0.
I think I watched a few games. It was Dallas versus Pittsburgh, and then
Pittsburgh won that one.
Yeah, against Casey DeSmith too, who was.
I'm not surprised though. He's been lights out, but he's lights out for a certain duration of time. And against Pittsburgh, he was going to step up, but it just he's a very, very good number 2, but that's all he is.
And that's what he is now, right? He's backing up Ottinger, so
yeah. So
he's
like
in a position to succeed.
Absolutely. And I want to say, actually, I'm going to go pull him up. Like, if you can keep him 25, 30 starts, you're golden. He'll always play well enough where you want to play him more, but then you look at it and you go, oh no, nay, we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, you probably just shouldn't push it. Just let him get into that groove, and don't try to force starts on him like that. Give him a plan. Tell him how much he's going to play, and try to stick to that. Obviously, injuries come into play, but
yeah, the most he's ever played was in the 22-23 season. He started 38 games for Pittsburgh, and during that season, Tristan Jarry started 47 games. And Dustin Tokarski started 4 games for them.
Jeez.
So, and even then, that was a 317 and a 905 year for him. So,
yeah,
Vancouver, his run with Vancouver last season was actually the worst run of his career. 895 save percentage. I mean, not the worst goals against, but his worst save percentage. But I think they've got him locked in for a couple seasons. So I'm gonna be going through the goaltending landscape as we get closer to the off season here.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last time about the free agents, and then that the market is very, very little. The pool of good goalies is small, so that's why it's crucial to kind of get somebody like DiPietro, signed, so then at least you have a little bit of flexibility. I would be shocked if Brandon Bussey re-signed. If DiPietro signs, obviously Bussey doesn't want to be.
Yeah, I think
AHL
you can
backup.
get. I think you can get one of them back next year. I don't think you can get them both back.
And obviously, you want to go with the guy who is number one in the AHL in every single category. So,
Yeah. Plus, I think at least DiPietro has the ceiling to be a reasonable player. Swayman, they're just hacking at Swayman. I don't need him to give up a ton of goals. I just need him to give up one.
Yep. Just see what happens is you ask for one, and then you get it, and then guess what? Then the floodgates are open, and then there goes 5.
Hey, I just need 1 point from Stankoven. He doesn't even have to be the goal scorer. Although I'll take it if he is. Plus, this just seems like the kind of game that Stankoven would score in.
Ooh.
He's looked good, though, in Carolina.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for how Carolina's trade deadline went down. I know.
I don't.
Well, I mean, listen, they got what they wanted. I know they wanted to trade those picks for Besser, I think is what I heard. Don't know if that's true.
I don't know if Besser was the target, but I know they wanted to flip him.
Yeah, I also heard about the Rantanen stuff, where he came to Carolina and was like, "Yeah, this isn't really the place for me."
Yeah, but I mean, the plus side, he went to them and he didn't try to bullshit them. He just went, something doesn't feel right here. This isn't the right place for me. I'm not going to be re-signing here. Make your decisions.
I wonder. They probably wanted to know that before getting rid of Natchez, but
well, it's tough because you already knew what you had in the situation with Natchez, and you were going to have to deal him at some point anyway. Because he was on a deal for this year and next year. If you wait until next year, his value only decreases because he's got less term on the contract. So you look at it from Carolina's perspective, and we have a chance to bring in Mikko Rantanen. That doesn't come across your desk every day.
Mm.
And it's going to cost you a guy that you're going to have to trade down the road anyway, plus a little bit of other things anyway. So, you pull the trigger on that.
yeah.
And then they played everything right. We'll give you some time to get settled in. We want to sign you for the long term, blah, blah, blah. Player comes to you and says, this doesn't seem like the right fit. I don't feel comfortable signing here long term. Okay, we're going to look to move off of you, and we want to know where you want to go.
Feeling bad probably was not the right term. I don't feel bad. They're in a great position right now, especially with the with where they are in the standing and the team that they have. But I just know that wasn't really the trade deadline that they were planning for, and Green Bay Gamblers are getting destroyed right now, which is not great. But
does Zellers have a goal?
I don't think so. Let me check.
He sucks. He's a bust.
Yep, terrible. Trade him. I honestly think that people they don't want prospects to work out just so they can just talk shit on Twitter and be right and
well, that's the thing. If you call everybody a bust, then 7 out of 10 times you'll be correct.
No, he didn't score. But former mid-Fairfield Junior Ranger Cooper Cleaves scored, so good for him. Or got an assist, I think. I don't know if he scored. Oh.
I'm really curious as to what the decision was or will end up being for Murenberg.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Right now, bringing him in probably wasn't going to be the right move, just because. I mean, where is he going to play? Is he 100%? I wasn't at those practices, obviously, so I don't know how he looked, but I don't think it's like the end of the day either or.
No, but it would have been nice to get something out of that that Studnicka trade. I mean, he was such a high prospect, and I don't think he's done for the NHL. It just, it's another one that you can look at and go, why not? Mantikivi was another one that they had. He was drafted back in 2019. Granted, he was a 6th-round pick, but it just, how was his year? I'm pretty sure he's gone on to do all right.
Somebody I completely forgot about because his team is just awful, but Casper Nason had a decent year. I think he put up like 10 points in 30 games on a Miami, Ohio team that won 3 games this year.
Oh yeah, no, Casper Nason's got to get the hell out of there.
That's what I was saying. I was
He's
like,
got to
how is
enter
this
the
not
transfer portal.
Yeah.
It was a rough year.
And he played pretty well. I think he was 3rd on the team in scoring.
Yeah, he was a bright spot for him for sure.
Yeah, and I think the number one was Ambrosio. He used to play at BC.
I'd have to look, yeah. But
that's what I think. I didn't go into his elite prospects. I was just like, that name sounds familiar. I think he played for BC.
Yeah, Nason is like, again, we've had the conversation. There's plenty of guys in this system that people just aren't paying attention to, like Oscar Jelvik.
Yeah,
I can't wait for him to come out. Andre Gassot is probably going to be a year behind because of the injury, but he looks pretty good too. And honestly, if he goes back and gets another year playing with a player like James Higgins, I'm okay with that.
I hope that's the case. I hope a team doesn't try to rush Higgins. I think right now BC is kind of, they took a hard hit. A lot of their best players left, but it's also BC, so they're also going to get a ton of players in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm obviously excited to see what Dean Letourneau could do next year, hopefully in a bigger role than 4th line. Not saying that, he earned a bigger role yet, but that's my hope.
No, he'll get a bigger role because that's what the plan always was.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to lie. Like, 3 points was not where – like, I knew he was going to be a project. I wasn't expecting him to light the world on fire, but 3 points, no goals was honestly not where I thought he was going to be. But I'm also not crushed. Like, I'm not caught off guard. It's not really a big thing for me. I know people want to make it out like it's this massive thing and he's going to be a bust because he was playing on the 4th line and didn't score points. It's just keep an eye on it.
He also had games where he played less than Matt Rempe.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a position for success in any way, shape, or form. This year, Dom and I have said it countless times. This year for Dean Letourneau was never about points. Ever. And is it a bummer to see that he only got 3 points? Yeah, it's a bummer, but like, what's his attitude towards it? Is he sulking? Is he, this was a huge mistake or whatever? Like, no, he's not. He's sitting here going, yeah, I got 3 points. I played, 5 to 10 minutes, 12 on a couple of occasions. I played with, look at the list of guys that he played with. Jacob Fowler,
Leonard, Perreault, Higgins.
Yeah, Leonard, Perreault, Higgins, Stiga. Like, you're talking about. I'm pulling it up right now. Fowler, he's maybe a year away from the NHL, like just because of who they have on that roster, but he could be a difference for them pretty darn quick. And then in the forward group, Higgins, I would give him one more year, but he's also super young. Ryan Leonard already making a difference for the Capitals. Teddy Stiga, you know that where's Perot on here? Anyway, the guys that he's also playing against, you know, it just, I'm not overly worried about it. Looks like Schmaltz just scored his first. Could we see a Providence comeback?
I wouldn't hold your breath. Wow. Yeah, 2 goals right here. I gotta post them both here. Let's see.
I didn't see who got. Oh, it was
Abate for the first one.
Yeah. Well, I got the big club on right now just because if it gets to a 2-goal deficit, then I'll flip back. But I'm flipping between 2 screens here, so I really want to. I just want that one Stankoven goal. Ooh, rough shot. Who's down on ice? Oh boy, someone just took one. Well, they were able to get off the ice, so I have to say Minton's looked good. Not like great, but he's looked solid. He hasn't been. I really think that he is. I don't want to say he's ready, but like, you know, I think you're seeing kind of he's at where Fabian Lysell is at, you know, almost there, almost ready to be a full timer.
Yeah, with him, I think it's just going to be interesting to see how the offseason goes and kind of reevaluate when he comes to camp.
Yeah. I've really been trying to figure out what this team is going to do for next season between Providence and whatnot. I don't see them making major swings in the offseason. I think their big swing would be more of a subtraction in a Zacha Lindholm kind of move.
I mean, I can hope. I like what they're building down in Providence, so I hope that they give those guys, you know, the runway for a little bit. Just allow them to have that opportunity for when they earn it instead of it being plugged up at the NHL level. But who knows?
Yeah, and I think you could also give a guy like Geeky a 1 or 2 year kind of bridge contract, if you will, something that makes him very movable. That way, there, if you go into next season and you see someone, I mean, I will say they've kept Don Zlachmelis down the middle, Fraser Minton down the middle, Poitras down the middle. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what they do when they need help on wing. Who gets moved over? Oh my God! Oh, Pasta with a dangle for the Hattie. Oh man. If you're not on that game right now, flip over to the Big Bees right now.
I have Providence on my phone, and then I have the Bruins one on the TV. If you could see, like, the light keeps.
Yeah, watch this replay of Pasta's goal here. Oh my God. And even Carolina's looking up at the board going, we got to see that replay. Oh man. All right, so they just showed the first one. They just showed the second one of him batting it out. And now this one here. Oh man, he is living rent-free in Freddie Anderson's head. Oh. You just knew that he was going to have a hell of a game today, too.
Man, does he deserve it for what's been going on here? But him and Geeky still keep, you know, producing. So.
Oh man, he deked him out of his pads. Wow. Oh, he was having fun on that one. I will say this though, he didn't over celebrate it. He's shown in this moment, he has shown a great level of maturity in the sense of, I'm happy for the hat trick. I'm going to celebrate the goal and have a little fun. I think he picked up one of the hats or whatever. That's what they were showing him doing with Lori there. But it was also, we've just lost 10 games in a row plus. Now's not exactly the time to be all David Pastrnak about it.
Yeah, and I think that goes a long way when you're looking at potential captains as well. I'm not going to say it's everything, I'm definitely one for somebody, celebrating an accomplishment, but someone who can also have that awareness to know, like, hey, listen, like, this might not be the best time to go around, hot dogging a goal and shit. So good for him, honestly. Like I said, he deserves it. Like, for what he's been able to, do still, despite everything that's happening, just incredible.
Where would this team be without him?
I don't even want to think about it, where that team would be.
I mean, I genuinely think you would be behind literally everybody. Like,
yeah,
it's a
overall
retool.
pick.
Yeah, it's a retool and a half at that point. Like, you are starting at that. You are where San Jose was last year. Laughable, dead last.
Yeah, Jake Schmaltz scoring his first. I gotta add that. But yeah, good for him, Jake Schmaltz.
That's another one. He deserves a point there too. So
yeah, good for him.
40th goal of the season for Pasta, though. Oh, what a deke move. 5-3 now for Providence. I didn't even realize that we made it a 2-goal game.
Yeah, because they keep updating it so late. It's unbelievable.
Imagine if Providence does make the comeback.
Oh, imagine.
Like, I wouldn't put it past them. It's not their first kind of comeback this year. My question is last time we know it was Patrick Brown who made the speech in the locker room. Who was it this time?
Yeah, that'd be a great question to ask Mujanel. That would be something that Will Zellers just got an assist on an Aiden Park goal. So I think the score is now 8-2.
Wow. I need more screens.
Yeah, so do I. I'm just flipping through game to game here, trying to go back, post the tweets and stuff like that.
I got a couple TVs in storage I just got to get them set up, but it's also one of those things where I'm like, we're heading to the off season anyway, so I'll be watching mostly the Stanley Cup final games as we go. Probably watch a few of them on here, and we'll do some streams as we get some more of this new venture underway here with more to come on that. But
NHL and AHL playoffs, you got too.
Yep. Next weekend we got the Frozen Four.
Oh yeah, Frozen Four is going to be good.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned it earlier. Interesting to see Boya go back to Maine.
Yeah.
When you see Callum Tongue sign, that's more or less the thing. Is like with goaltending at the premium that it is. You saw Fowler sign when they got eliminated. You see Caleb Tongue sign with his elimination as a freshman, and yet Boya doesn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I did see that he is gonna attend Bruins development camp, so
Yes.
that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, hopefully there's some good conversation to be had with him at that point. And I also wonder, see, that makes me sit here and go, I wonder if he's looking to see what Boston does. Like if they were enough in the conversation where they're like, look, you want to go back to school, definitely go back to school. Like obviously you're not going to jump on the roster now and play over DiPietro and Boston. We've got to give them the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like go back to school, get one more year, and then we'll have an opening for you to start in Providence next season. After the season is over, you come in and you're going to overtake DiPietro. You can overtake Bussy, whichever one of them is still here, if one of them is still there.
Yeah, and that's just thinking about Boston, not knowing how many other teams also were in on Boya as, I think Utica just scored.
I know we had the empty net, so I turned it off at that point. Or flipped over.
Yeah, it's 6-3.
But the other thing too, though, is by this point he's met with a few goaltending coaches. He's worked with Mike Dunham and
Bob
Senza. So like there's obviously already a level of comfort that he has with them from having worked with them at development camps before. So if they sit there and say, hey, listen, we think you could be backing up Swayman within 2 years. So you get one more year in college and then 1 year in Providence, and then we think you could be backing up Jeremy Swayman. Like that's a pretty damn good sell to a kid from UMaine.
Oh, someone just scored. Lysell got stuffed.
I had to see who got that. I looked down for 2 seconds.
Yeah, Lysell got stuffed. I don't know who scored this goal. I don't know who's on the ice. Oh, Stankoven's on the ice.
I know. So he just got stoned, though.
56 shot on goal. Maybe. I don't know.
Stankoven. Oh, did that kick off his foot? Tell me that kicked off Stankoven's foot.
Oh.
Robidas, first career NHL goal. Okay, I don't care.
I was like, who is this person? Oh,
tell me that kicked off his foot. Now I got to go over to the NHL website and see who they give that credit to.
So what happens if they give him credit for it after the game ends?
So they're going unassisted on it.
I think that'll change because clear rebound goal from the point.
So some of it depends. For
Holy
something
shit,
like
Providence
that.
scored again.
What's that?
Providence scored again, I think.
Did they really? So typically for something like that, they typically wait up to 15 minutes. It's they say within 15 minutes they pay out.
Yeah.
Because obviously that replay is now going to Toronto. Toronto's going to look at it 6 ways to Sunday and see if there's anyone else that they need to give points to on the play. So right now it's listed as unassisted, or it looks like they took it down, at least the credit. So if I back,
I think Dalton Bancroft just scored his first.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah. Yeah, Dalton Bancroft just scored his first.
Yeah, they've pulled it from NHL.com from the score box, where how they put the player name and then underneath they put the first and secondary assist.
Yeah.
They've pulled it. It said Robidas. Okay, so now they've changed it, and now it's Robidas from Morrow and Gostisbehere. Which sucks.
Yeah, right there.
Which sucks because I had everything else correct. And I almost I almost opted to increase the points. Both games are now over. 6-4 and 5-1. Damn. I was that fucking close to it.
Almost. Let's see here. I wonder.
And that's the Swayman career 100 win.
Good for him. He's definitely picked up on this. He's picked up a little bit, which is good. This is what
Yeah.
you look for towards the end of the season when the games kind of don't matter as much.
Yeah. Especially because I went with a points count, the alternate points. They will wait until the game is over and fully processed to the league to make sure everything is confirmed, and then they'll do the payout. But if it was like if I had just done a Pasternak goal bet, then as soon as he makes that first one, once they played more than 2 minutes after that, then it's usually paid out. Like it depends on how the goal was scored. Because like the first one that Pasta scored today, like you knew that was Pasta's goal. Period. That third one for the hat trick, you knew that was his goal. But if you would put him down for 2 plus goals, and they looked at the second one, they might have waited to pay it out for a couple minutes just to make sure there was no review. Was it under the crossbar? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, pretty much once the league has made the call official, then they get it taken care of.
Yeah, well, Providence lost, but Jake Schmaltz first career goal, Dalton Bancroft first career goal, Ty Gallagher had a point or two, I think. So,
luckily, I bet both of them. I bet them all individually as well. So I'll still be. Let's see.
Yeah, you're not coming home empty-handed.
Yeah, I still will take home more than I put in, but not by
as
a
much.
lot. Yeah, it's pennies on the victory as opposed to a plus 1900 bet hitting. But it's okay.
Well, at least the Bruins won.
Yeah, definitely a much needed victory, especially to get Swayman over that hump of 100 wins. Yeah, like the money line alone paid out. That one they just paid out. That was a plus 205. So you want to know how long it takes? Well, they just paid that one out and confirmed it.
Wow. Quick.
Pretty quick, yeah. Hell, I'm still playing off the money I put in at the beginning of the football season last year.
Wow. Oh, what a day.
Oh, it's been a day. It's been a weekend. So
we still got another day.
I know. Oh, that's the worst part. We still got 5 more of these to worry about from a Bruins perspective. Let's see. What do we got on the docket for tomorrow here?
Ovi.
Oh, that's right. Ovi's tomorrow.
Providence also plays tomorrow.
That's right. They got the 3-3. And Boston, they played 6.
Damn,
Buffalo
plays again. Shit.
So we got Ovi at 12:30. And then
Providence at 4:05, Boston at 6:30.
It's going to be another long one. Shit, maybe we stream all day on that one too. We'll go on Ovi watch in the morning, Providence, and then Boston.
Oof.
I mean, something exciting is going to happen between all those games. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Wow, Ty Gallagher 2 assists tonight. Again, just
I wish I could bet points in the American Hockey League.
yeah, imagine. Oh, I didn't get to watch this game as close. I was definitely late to a few goals. I don't know what Robert Chalmers is up to, but he's off his game. Usually, him and I are battling to post the goals first. I was
Yeah.
definitely not on my game tonight, but he also not on his game. So,
I mean, everybody's entitled to it, right?
of course, I love it. I love the competition. I know some people see it as like, not a great thing. But listen, sometimes you got to just tip your cap. Sometimes he beats me to it, and I do it pretty quickly. So, listen, good for him if he's able to post those bigger goals. Congrats.
Yeah, and not everybody follows you that follows him. Same the other way around. So,
Yeah. It's
with
always
that,
just a personal thing for me that I'm like, oh, he beat me to it. I got to get quicker on that. But,
yeah, I got to find the quickest way to stay on top of my game. So it's competitive
Exactly.
in of its own self. So with that, I'm going to sign us off the live just because both of these games are over. Thank you again. Thanks to Bobby Brewski for jumping in, for Dave jumping in, Joey jumping in. We'll keep doing more of these because these games are getting bigger and bigger, and the Stanley Cup ones are going to be that much better. And of course, we're going to have a long off season to worry about for this Bruins team. So it's the more hockey you can watch, the better we can sit there and say what players we like. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. Hopefully you're able to join. And I want to thank all the viewers for jumping in. Dom, thank you for jumping in. Hopefully you're doing all right. Jared, same. And thanks everyone. And go Bees, right?
yes, go be.